broken system, chained and tangled up in lies. Voices shouting, screaming in defeat. Politicians playing games under darkened skies. Hope lost in the dust of the street. Red and blue, colors pouring from the sky. Debates turn to anger, the crowd gets loud. Punches flying in the blink of an eye. Truth buried deep beneath the shroud. Welcome to the bullpen, where the weak don't survive. These broken dreams we defend, trying to keep alive. Faces on the screen, flashing perfect teeth. But behind those eyes, just rotting greed. Politicians turn to whispers beneath. They all just get what they need. Whispering conspiracies, drowning in their lies. Echoes of freedom, lost in cries. Spin the wheel of fate, let's see who rise. But this game will bleed you dry. Welcome to the bullpen, where the weak don't survive. These broken dreams we defend, trying to keep alive. Welcome to the bullpen, where the weak don't survive. These broken dreams we defend, trying to keep alive.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Bullpen. It's Sunday night. We're going to talk some politics, and we've got the usual suspects here tonight. How are you guys doing?
I'm doing pretty good. It's like I say, it's been a long week. It has been a long week, and I did not get enough sleep over the weekend, so I'm a little tired. But now I'm good.
Yeah. How about you,
Good.
Chad?
I'm doing all right. We are having a nice cooler weekend here in the Mid Atlantic, so that's nice. And usually August is oppressively humid and hot, so it's nice
Yeah.
to have a little break.
Yeah, we had a breakdown here too, to the point that with the attic fan on last night when I went up at 2 o'clock, I was shivering in the bed because we haven't just switched out the blankets to the heavy stuff. And it was probably 40, 50 degrees in the house. So, yeah, it was
What's the temp there right
interesting.
now?
At the moment, we're at 60 degrees.
Oh,
If
okay.
only you
At
had
8 o'clock at
beverages
night.
that could help warm your system.
Yes, if only. It was 2 o'clock. I wasn't having another beverage. But I'm having a beverage now, coffee, so I can get through the show. So this week I wanted to start off a little bit differently. I did write a little bit of a monologue, because somebody that I think was very influential over the past 30 years and most of my life passed away last week, and that was Dr. James Dobson, who is the founder of Focus on the Family. He died at age 89.
Wow.
And while some will see Focus on the Family as a representation of the pendulum going too far to the right, the main teachings of Focus on the Family were the nuclear family, traditional values, Christian morality, pushing back the gay agenda, and pushing back on porn. I met him a number of times. I actually insure his personal assistant that's been with him for about 10 to 15 years. He was always a great guy to me, and he he really seemed to live what he believed, even behind the scenes. So I, for one, would like to wish him a good rest and a well done, sir. So I don't know. I know Comics. You said you weren't too familiar with him. I don't know about you, little Chad.
It's been such a long time. I mean, I do remember Focus on the Family, and that when you mentioned Dobbs, it definitely rang a bell. But it's been ages, and quite frankly, I don't remember anything that they specifically did.
Yeah, he was one of those that
Jerry
that when
Falwell is
Keri-
the one I specifically remember doing stuff.
Yeah, Dobson wasn't so much of a televangelist type thing. So
Right. Yeah,
Chad,
I
what were
know.
you
I
gonna
know
say?
he's not a televangelist. I just remember the whole thing with a lot of the stuff coming from the religious right, and Dobbs. I think Dobson was part of that, but the main individuals I remember is like Falwell and a few others.
So Falwell was a different organization.
No, I know he's completely different, but
Yeah,
I'm just talking about people that would be considered part of the religious right.
yeah. Dobson, I'm familiar with him in a public sense. I never had any personal relationship or knowledge of him.
Right.
Focus on the Family was something that and I know this is going to sound funny and bad, but I disagree with some of the tactics of trying to push this what would be considered, I think, a more censorship agenda, because I don't think in the long run that necessarily works.
No, yeah, I agree with that.
I think that I have no problem with someone with Christian values advocating against pornography. I have no problem with saying that you're living a better life than other people who are engaging in those activities. What I don't want you to do, because as we've talked about on this show, the slippery slope has been proven right 100% of the time. When you advocate for taking anything, it gets used in other ways very quickly that are adverse from a speech standpoint. It's always, I mean, The Simpsons nailed it so many times when we joked about it. Won't somebody think of the children? Won't somebody
Yes.
think of the children?
Right.
And then
Yeah.
the next thing you know, you're getting real ID and you're not able to buy anything because your digital currency was voided because you had wrong think. So that being said, I will say that Focus on the Family was an organization that was much more successful, and to me, because like Falwell, he had the air of being kind of an ass and his
Yeah.
son, and you can see the way his son ran Liberty University, kind of definitely went off the reservation. If anyone is aware of the scandals that resulted in Jerry Falwell Jr. being excised from Liberty University in all decision making.
I am familiar to a degree because I have former coworkers that have worked at Liberty, and some of them have since returned back there.
So
So I know some of the scuttlebutt there.
with the cucking, stuff that he was into with
Yeah.
his wife. Yeah, it was messed up. And living in Virginia most of my life, Liberty University was mostly a joke for at least most of Virginia. No, and that was because when Jerry Falwell specifically Sr. was running it. Once he was gone, even with Jerry Falwell Jr. doing bad things, Liberty has become more reputable as a academic institution, to the point where I would trust sending somebody to Liberty University at this point without a worry. Especially now that Jerry Falwell Jr. is out. What I was getting at is that Dobson genuinely seemed more goal-oriented about helping people than some of the other ones. And I think it may be because I think Dobson's background was actually in psychology. He was right, if I remember right.
One of his big, well, probably his largest book, I think, was Dare to Discipline. It was during the time when everybody was doing the counting to 3 and the putting kids in the corner and timeout. And he was a big advocate for still spanking in some situations, that kind of stuff, and just actually being a disciplinarian to your children instead
To your
of trying
kids.
to be a friend.
I mean,
So-
I think that's fair in regards to being a disciplinarian. I mean, again, I don't have kids, but I would say spanking is different than beating your kid. And that's what they want to equate it to be, which is complete garbage.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and just the whole idea of trying to be your kid's best friend their whole life instead of, being the
an
example
adult.
for them until they get to adulthood. I've never agreed with, because I think that's how we've gotten a couple of spoiled generations that think that they're the center of the universe.
From
Agreed.
if you understand child psychology too, the development of the mind goes in phases, right? And the early phase of childhood development is kind of, I think, sometimes referred to as the concrete phase, right? They only do concrete thinking.
Right.
Action has to have immediate result for it to kind of link up. And sometimes when a kid is doing something that could get them killed, for instance, my wife and I had disagreements early on before we actually had our children about when we did what we would do. And because I said there are circumstances where a spanking is actually the right answer, and she was raised and of the generation where no, it's never,
Never touch
the
your
right
child.
answer. Well, that changed a little bit when my kid tried to run out into the middle of the street with a car coming when he was very young.
And you
So-
can't count quick enough.
You can't. So you know what? A swift little smack to the bottom, not beating, and saying you don't do that, makes a concrete connection in little like toddler brain that says not a good action.
Well,
Shouldn't
yeah,
do this action.
there's been plenty of times I remember, the story my mom would tell me about when I was young and I kept trying to reach up and touch the hot burner. And my mom kept stopping me and I kept doing it. My dad was finally like, just let him touch the fucking burner. And so
Yeah.
I did. And I burned my hand. I never did it again. I mean,
You're not going to do it again.
No.
So, I mean, and kids are different. Each kid's different. One child may react to just sternly being yelled at. My youngest is like that. She could not handle just the dad's disappointed in you thing or mom's disappointed in you thing. If you sternly talk to her, she would break down in tears and cry herself to sleep.
But Brahma,
So that
that's
tended to work.
verbal abuse. How
Uh-huh.
dare you?
And the other one, you had to beat the crap out of her to get her to stop doing anything. Not beating her like we're talking about. I'm talking about spanking
Spanking.
repeatedly to get the message through her head. So, I mean, every kid's a little bit different, but yeah, I had wooden spoons broken on me, and I don't think anything of it at this point. I mean, that was the norm when I was growing up. You got a belt or you got a wooden spoon
Oh, yeah.
or you got spanked. I mean,
Yeah, Brahma's got a
occasionally
really
even the
funny story
switches. Go
where,
get the willow.
He found
Yep.
this, there's this person in the basement, and if they didn't put the lotion on their skin, they got the hose again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just how things go.
There was an incident and it's like talk about just being a stupid kid. Of course I loved old Popeye commercials, and so I decided to eat some spinach one day and sock one of my friends because I wanted to see if he'd fly through the sky like a Popeye. And my dad gave me the fucking belt for that.
Yep.
I never did that again.
Yeah. And yeah, what Slender's saying, it's a case-by-case judgment, and the person best positioned to make that judgment is the parent. Yeah, which is why it's so annoying that people see somebody give their kid a light spanking and have, CPS called on them, social services called because, oh, they touched him. I saw it.
Yeah, it's
But
just
also,
ridiculous.
I mean, by like age 6 or 7, spanking is basically ineffective at that point. Then other forms of discipline are more
Right.
effective, depending on
I
kid
mean,
again. Still, but-
realistically, raising children is an advanced psychological warfare campaign that goes on for at least 18 years.
of which you're given no directions except for what your parents did with you.
The first 7 years is you getting reconnoiter intel on what the child's development is going to be, so you can tailor your psychological campaign into their teen years when you need to try to head off stupidity of epic proportions. Like, is this person, are they driven by spite? Are they driven to do this or that? How can I tailor my technique to make sure that he doesn't get a girl pregnant?
Right.
Well, as they say, stupidity finds a way.
Lindsay, one of my siblings got a bar of soap in the mouth for calling me a prick. I got a bar of soap in the mouth for telling one of my teenage cousins when I was like 6 or 7 to shut up. That's how disciplinarian mine was until I was in my teens or so. And then it loosened up quite a bit. What I did notice was the things that I got in trouble for, the second I aged up enough to where I was allowed to do something, suddenly that retroactively was, my sisters got the same benefit, which I never really liked. But like I can start watching PG-13, so it's like, okay, well, your sisters can too, because whatever.
I mean,
It's like, well, that's
there was
not quite fair.
There is a I mean, if you have siblings too, I know that I would push the buttons that would, like when I was in high school, worked at the movie theater and South Park Bigger Longer Uncut was playing, and my little brother was going to go see it. And because he thought he'd be able to just get in because he was my brother. And I was like, no, I'm not going to let you in. And in fact, I was like, and Mom, you shouldn't be letting him see this movie. It's rated R for bad language. And she was like, what? And I was
You
like,
should have taken him to the side room and said the cops are going to be here in a few minutes to take you
I
up
was-
for trying to sneak into an R-rated movie.
yeah, he was, so he got like a little lecture about trying to go see it. And I was like, haha.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, like, on the other hand, when I was younger, because I always looked older, I could walk into the theater and I was buying my own tickets for rated R movies. I remember going to see like Heat and they didn't card me and things like that.
There was a time where they just didn't give a crap.
Yeah.
Depending on where you were, I guess. But like, they really didn't care where I live.
Yeah, there was this one time I was 18. I was with a group of friends, and I'm probably the one who looked probably the youngest out of all of them. And one of my friends, he looked old enough to where he was 18. He could order alcohol, and they're like, we're in there, we're ordering drinks, and she's like, I got to see your ID. He's like, I'm not. He's like, I just want a Coke. I'm driving tonight, so I just kind of played it off. So they let me stay. While everybody else
You
was
had
drinking.
alcohol in the theaters that early?
No, this wasn't a theater. This was a bar.
Oh, at a bar. Okay.
This is a bar.
Thought we were still talking theater. I was like,
No,
wow,
sorry.
They were
Yeah.
They were ahead of their time. Cause
No,
we
I
just
mean,
started getting that. In the
I
past
was
few
thinking
years.
about it, and when I started talking about it, my thought had passed about it. But yeah, it was a bar called Hourglass, which was funny because it's, hour, as in hours, not like hours like in time of day,
Right.
glass, which I thought was pretty funny plan. Whereas I don't even think that bar is around anymore.
Yeah. Chad, chat is asking you to double check your volume level on
It's
Windows.
it's also because my son's trying to go to sleep, so I'm not being loud.
Oh,
My
okay.
home office is directly across from his bedroom. So
There's a
You
time
need
when
to
you are
soundproof
loud.
it
you're getting ASMR Chad right now because of that.
more so than usual.
That's what we got all the time.
Look, I can't control it. It is what it is.
Well, I just wanted to open with that because I did not hear a lot of news this week about Dobson's passing. And I think as far as for a Christian, he was a more good than bad throughout his life and with his ministry. So rest in
Well,
peace, Dr. Dobson.
Like I said, I don't know him enough to criticize him.
Well, like I was saying at the beginning, Keri, back when she was on the left, this would have been exactly who she would have been, absolutely hated.
Raging
Keri
against.
Smith.
Yeah.
Yeah, back when she was in the woke stuff. That's kind of how the left looks at him. In fact, there was the post that I did see was a whole bunch of people celebrating. So
I know. I mean, I hate that.
you know how
It's
that
like,
goes.
even if somebody I don't like passes away, I'm not gonna celebrate their death. I mean, that
Yeah,
is
people
such
just
an
have no
awful
filter
thing.
on Twitter.
I think that you're generally correct, Comics, but there are caveats to that. Like,
Well, okay,
Solomami dies.
okay, all right, okay.
He
If we're
died like
talking
a
about
dog.
Bin Laden.
He
like
died like a dog.
And
Right.
an
If it's
enemy,
like
not
Adolf
just a
Hitler,
political
that's different.
enemy. Like, yeah,
like someone
a political
genuinely
enemy
evil.
just on the other side, not somebody who's actively a terrorist or at war with us. Sure.
Yeah.
Now, it
So-
brings up an interesting thing about what I would point out that the ascendancy of the what I would call what they are calling on, I know, Keri's side and some other people, like
The woke right.
the woke right, like that same mindset was present in the 80s and 90s with a lot of these organizations, the Christian Coalition and other things that tried to wield political power while privately engaging in whatever they wanted to do. And that combination, not Dobson specific, because he actually seemed to do lived by what he actually wanted to have happen. But that combination led to a lot of the woke O's as a direct pendulum reaction. And I know Brahman and I talked about that. Like, from a culture standpoint, they were so anti everything that people liked. Like, with no understanding that, for instance, video games weren't really what they were. Like, a good parent can completely negate any video game issue. Like any of these other stuff, like going after video games. And I know that Brahma brings up that Tipper Gore was the one that was leading the charge against the music stuff. But, she was also joined at the podium by a lot of those same people. And that whole 90s movement led to a lot of the cultural reaction that swung things so dramatically out of control.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is why I mentioned that a lot of people see that Focus on the Family and groups like them were the movement of the pendulum too far to the right. So,
Yeah.
but yeah.
So, I mean, I'm not sure I ever trust someone who just argues against video games having any kind of value, because video games are great for a lot of other things. So when you start just going carte blanche against that, it just turns people off, and you've got to watch out.
Yeah. So where do we want to start with politics? Shall we start with Trump cleaning up Washington?
Should we start with the 10 days now of no murders in Washington, D.C.?
Yep. Well, that's the title. A week without DC murders. So
Here,
Wow.
I've got the...
That's interesting.
Let's share this.
in fact, the only video I've seen on Twitter was some guy trying to carjack somebody else, and they're like, see, there's still crime in DC. It's like, you brought up one carjacking in 10 days where nobody has been murdered and crime is down like 30 something percent after you said there's no real crime going on.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing I find so funny about it, is that they're always going to go look for the extreme case, because the reality is you're never going to stop all crime, but you can certainly reduce it, by doing what they're doing. And yeah, the one carjacking negates everything that they've done to stop people from being murdered and whatnot. That's so fucking retarded.
Well, the other thing I haven't heard the right hitting on, we hit on it all last year and through about the last 2 years of Biden's administration. The reason crime rates were dropping the last 2 years in the major cities was because they stopped reporting or stopped charging them. It wasn't that the crime was actually lower.
Oh,
They stopped reporting murders to the FBI, census on crime, and they stopped charging anything that was a felony. They would knock it down to a misdemeanor and say, nope, no, crime's under control. We got it.
Oh, remember what happened in Chicago when Beetlejuice was mayor? I mean, that was like one of the things that they were doing. They were trying to say, oh yeah, crime has dropped. It's like, and you actually look at the stats and it's like, no, they're just not reporting it.
But the left is doing exactly what we've said they would do. Trump said, I'm against crime and against murder. Okay, well, we're for it. Get out. Let us do our own thing. Go, Chad. Sorry.
No, it's like, I mean, it's crazy.
I'm so pissed that we haven't been hitting on the point that they changed the stats.
Yeah, I mean, there was a deputy chief fired for cooking the books, even beyond the changing the stats, which still happened. They went to the point where if they actually fired a deputy chief for cooking the books beyond that, it's even worse, because they already weren't reporting things as felonies, so they wouldn't trigger crime statistics. They were still getting enough felonies that fell through that filter, that the deputy chief was then making the cases go away.
And
And
then
then
there's
on
2 points that spin off of that is the Democrats are now making the points that, well, I mean, the highest murder rates are in red states. There's 2 things about that. The red states continue to report all their crime as far as we have been able to see from what we were looking at for the last 2 years. And also, the red states that have the highest murder rates are in the 1 or 2 blue cities within the red state that are
Memphis
run
would be
solely
my,
by
yeah.
Democrats.
Like in Tennessee, as an example, Memphis is one of the worst homicide cities in the country. And
St. Louis and Missouri. I mean, yeah, of course, in the blue run cities, in the sea of red, that's where the crime is, and it's not making their point for them.
It usually doesn't. That's the funny part.
and then you got a super coming in.
Yep, Mark Daly for $5. Democrats aren't just massaging the numbers, they're giving them a full chiropractic adjustment and a happy ending.
By the way, chiropractors are bullshit, so don't ever.
If you go once, you're basically locked in for life until you
Because-
get out of the cult.
Yeah, because they actually screw your back up more often than not. Go to an actual licensed like physical therapist that's gonna help you with stuff. But a chiropractor, they make up
Yeah.
their own degree.
My mom
and they wanna
went
be
to one
called
for like
doctor.
3 years and swore by her, and I was like, "Mom, it's been 3 years and you got the same problem." What I mean, you get like momentary relief, and you're gonna keep going for 3 years without it ever actually getting better. It's easy to get sucked into that. I've never planned to.
No, I remember when I was working as an injury adjuster, it was like a famous case within Geico because the doctor, quote unquote, who was testifying that this person was permanently injured as a result of this car accident was a chiropractor. And the attorney that Geico had got, when they were doing cross-examination, they were like, what other things can you diagnose as a chiropractor? And he was like, cancer. And he was like, excuse me? You can diagnose cancer from someone's spinal position. He's like, oh yeah.
Come again?
And the
Come again,
story-
please.
The story was like, and we won our case right there.
Right. So what were we showing on the map?
Yeah, so this is, you notice how the map has no red?
Yes,
So
no
what you,
homicide.
what you would see if there was any homicides, they would be these red circles on the dot within the DC crime map zone. There's no red. There's nothing. It is.
It's like magic. It's It's amazing what happens when people actually, police.
I don't even know exactly like when the last time DC has gone 10 or 11 days with no homicides at all.
It's probably been a hot minute.
Probably since the 60s, I would think.
Oh, probably before that. 60s, you had civil rights. That probably wasn't a pretty time.
So it's also a matter of when there was flight from DC and yeah.
Yeah. But what is your take on the now moving into possibly Chicago? Because we've made the argument that he had the right to federalize DC.
That's how he's
My
gonna do it
understanding is
legally.
he's sending in people to support ICE and to protect buildings so that the actual police and ICE don't have to use resources for that.
So he's going to have to come up with a legal predicate that supports a federal deployment.
State of emergency or something else.
So there's
along those lines.
there's something called the Posse Comitatus Act from the 1800s, which makes it illegal for the President of the United States to deploy troops. It's 1878 for domestic law enforcement. But there are workarounds for that, which is declaring martial law. Like if it's a riot and it's gone out of control.
Yeah, I don't see that going well for
A
him.
famous example of that would be he just did it in LA. he did deployed the National Guard because he was declaring that they were that they're out of control that these riots are, and he specifically was doing it because they were attacking federal law enforcement. So his legal predicate was the attacks on federal law enforcement going, operating within their, legal job allowed him to create a deployment of National Guard to secure the, federal law enforcement, which is why, Brahma, what you're bringing
Right.
up is how they might have to do it, either protecting federal buildings like federal courthouses or federal
Yes.
law enforcement. But that gets into touch area. Like most of the places in Chicago where the crime rates are highest, that's not where the federal district court is.
Right, but the point is to free up more manpower so that they can do their actual jobs and let the National Guard or the military just protect the buildings instead of having any cops doing that.
Yeah, I'm
Of
not
course, you
sure how.
still have to have them have the balls to do their job.
Right. I mean, I'm
Which
not
in
sure how I
Chicago,
feel
I don't
about it
think it
because
is.
I mean, it makes sense what they did in D.C. and really what should be happening in Chicago and Illinois as a whole is that people should be demanding that their government fucking do something. They shouldn't have to rely on the federal government for them to go and fix their problems. And again, this is a voting problem. This is the issue with blue no matter who, when these states and these cities are basically locked into a political party and nobody can challenge them, is that it's ultimately the voters' fault that it's in that situation. And I'm not going to say to a certain extent DC, but because of the jurisdiction with DC, obviously, Trump can do something about it. Whereas Chicago, that's really in the hands of the governor and the mayor of the city.
Now, would it be a better move if, like we were just talking about, some of these blue cities within red states, if you had the governors ask, like Missouri governor ask, can you come in and take care of some trouble in St. Louis?
So
Or in
no,
Memphis?
they shouldn't
And
even ask the president. They should basically deploy their own National Guard.
Yeah,
I mean, they should be.
That's what they should be doing. And because if they do it that way, they're avoiding the federal issue.
Sure.
And they
I
could.
don't know that I like this idea from him in trying to. I think it would be effective, but I also think it leans towards a lot of criticism that he could be doing other things, unless
Now,
it's specifically to round up people and get them out of here.
now I do think that these blue cities, here's the extra layer where you can kind of maybe thread the needle. Like the blue cities are the hotbed of benefit shenanigans. So they're
Sure.
going to have a disproportionate number of people who are probably here in an illegal status taking advantage of those benefit shenanigans. So
Right.
your legal predicate to be into like Cabrini Green and some of those other areas of Chicago that are most notorious, Chirac as they call it, would be to allow ICE to pull those people out. And at the same I agree sort of with what Eric is going, that just letting cities fail is never going to be helpful. And standing on here's the and this I know as a person who argues constitutional rights and protections, the Constitution is only as powerful as we defending it are. And if Trump and possibly Vance or whoever inherits Trump, if they take over after him, we've got probably an 8-year window to try to massively turn this entire Titanic around before it hits the iceberg so bad we sink. And sometimes, the same way Lincoln had to lock up state legislatures in Maryland so that they wouldn't vote to secede because they were a slave state. The Mason-Dixon line is the Maryland border, not,
Right.
not the deep south part. Because he knew if Washington, D.C. was effectively surrounded by Maryland and Virginia as, Confederacy states, you're screwed.
Would an effective end around be if anybody's declared a sanctuary state or sanctuary city, they're in violation of federal law?
They're trying to do that by taking away the money. So they're already in court because of federal district court level just ruled against the Trump administration for withholding funds from these cities. Now I think once it goes up to appeal, it'll still be a win for them,
Yeah,
but
one of
temporarily. So they're trying to go after
another-
They're going after the money side.
Sure.
Now,
Just
I
trying
would
to
say,
think of ways to get the National
so,
Guard in there
well, there's
without
a
it being
famous case.
a martial law situation.
Well, here's how you do it. You start holding people accountable that are, you go the, Soleimani route, right? You don't go after the foot soldiers. You go after the people who are leading it. There's a famous case out of Illinois, and it was a Republican governor where they found out that he was selling CDLs, commercial driver's license,
yeah.
and and this was back, I think, in the 70s. And one of the drivers who bought the commercial driver's license ended up killing someone in another state, and they charged him federally, basically as an accomplice to the homicide. So
Yeah.
I would think, if you really want, there's precedent on the table. For instance, that Indian truck driver in Florida, who just murdered that family, those people in that minivan.
Mm-hmm.
Gavin Newsom was, overseeing California with their DMV, basically selling, I mean, for all intents and purposes, these CDLs.
Allowing illegals that could only
Yep.
recognize 2 street signs and speak maybe 5 words of English to have CDLs.
I mean,
That's insane.
I would go beyond. I would go beyond it, and I would use RICO to indict the entire upper echelon, like the State Department of Transportation head, the DMV people, all the way up to Gavin Newsom, and put them on trial under using RICO to get it. And because here's what's going to happen. It's the same thing like Trump. Maybe they win on appeal, but it's going to destroy
wrap
them
'em
for
up
the
and
next
take
10
money.
years. Yep.
Yeah.
And it sends a message. If you're working
know.
at the
I-
DMV,
I need more. I need more out of Trump on what they're planning to do and how they're planning to do it before I throw in support on going into other cities. Like I said, DC is its own case, so I'm not sure. This could be a misstep.
no, I
But
don't think. Well, they
He's
haven't
done a lot
done
of
it
things
yet.
and done it right.
They haven't done it yet, though, so we don't
I
even
know.
know. So, and if they stick to just sending protection for ICE units that are deploying and federal courthouses, they're not doing anything that's like when people were
Right.
attacking the Portland federal courthouse. Would we have been upset if he had actually sent a federal SWAT team out there to arrest those assholes? No.
No.
No, or the Chaz Chop Zone in
Yeah.
Seattle.
So it all depends on the situation. So if he's sending them to create an ICE protection force, right? In a lot of ways, you think of it as like military operation in Iraq, right? You create a secure perimeter so that your operators doing their thing in the middle can do the mission they're supposed to. If they are there just to create a perimeter while ICE raids go on, congratulations, it's great. And then they immediately dissolve away after the ICE raid is complete.
Yeah. Which is what we'll see in DC for the most part.
Yeah.
Like, and then you can argue, what's funny? The federal money standpoint, all these places get federal funding. If if they're the New York subway and Trump decides to deploy the National Guard to protect the New York subway, he could argue that because there's federal funding making this transit system operational, the federal government has an entrenched interest in its operation and protecting the people who use it, and they are funding it. So it is an extension of federal property, and so they have a right to protect federal property. You can massage that dough any way you want to try to justify it legally, and I think you could probably get away with it, at least for the short term.
Yeah. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see over the next few weeks. But
So
what's
what's
been
gonna-
really interesting is seeing DC and seeing the absolute outrage from the left that you dare stop crime.
So if I was Trump and Stephen Miller and all the rest, I'd give this 30-day window where you see that crime completely stopped. And then when the Congress fails to extend it based on the Home Rule Act, and you have to pull back, and crime just goes out of control again, that's the best commercial you can make.
Yep. That would do it. At least for reasonable people.
Yeah, well, that's the key thing. Is reasonable.
Yeah, and the news would actually have to get out there. So
Well, I mean, okay, to me, that is kind of a failure on the Republicans' fault because we all know what the liberal media is like, and the fact that they are not going to tell the truth. This is one of the things that we were kind of talking about, before we went live. Is the whole thing is that who were you talking about? That was basically you said that they're basically either they're stupid or lying. And I was like,
Abby
well, they're lying.
Phillips,
Yeah.
either the dumbest person on TV or the biggest outright liar.
No,
on
I would
TV
say
right
that
now.
she's fucking lying because it's most people that watch CNN or kind of gravitate to one side are low information voters. They're not going to fact check things. They're just going to believe what's being told to them by the news, even though they should be skeptical of it. And that's basically how they do it. Oh, Trump's a criminal. Well, most people go, well, there's these things. Yeah, he broke the law, blah blah blah, and people are going to go, well, Trump's a criminal. Why did he get elected? Why isn't he not in jail? Not
34
understanding the fact
felonies.
that they're being fucking lied to, and that's the issue because none of these things actually hold up to any kind of scrutiny.
Yeah, well, it's either outright lying or they're kind of telling the truth but not telling the context or the whole story.
Well, yeah,
the 34 felonies, it's like it was one crime that you had to come up with a very creative way to charge it. It was outside of the statute of limitations, and then we charged him 34 times with the same crime. So then you can say 34 felonies and be saying it truthfully but not in reality.
Right.
This is one of the DC
Yeah,
residents,
so
right?
this is an actual resident of DC sharing her thoughts after Trump did what he did.
So right now I'm down here in Union Station, as you can see behind me. Yes, 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 yes. And I walked through Union Station. It was different. See, I'm from DC. I live here. So I can tell you, I can be honest. I'm not going to lie to you. It was nice. I don't even want to leave. Union Station.
Did you hear it was nice. I can go to this place
Like,
again.
I've never been able to do this before.
Yeah, that's crazy.
They literally, it feels different. Like usually when I walk through, it's got this odd darkness. It's like you're walking through some sort of demi hood at night. And now it feels more light, upbeat. It definitely feels safe. But see, I can say that because I'm from here. A lot of people that are here protesting, they're not from here. They don't even live here. So they would.
That's her code for saying they're white.
And they're paid.
These paid white people coming in protesting.
The 20 to 25-year-olds and the 70-plus-year-olds that are out there. The retirees and the ones on the paycheck.
No, on a day-to-day basis like I would and some of the other DC natives. But yeah, I even saw U.S. Marshals up in Silver Spring. They rolled up on somebody. When I say they were stealthy, they
Silver
were in
Spring is
regular cars. I'm
Maryland,
not
by
going
the
to say
way.
too much, but they were in regular cars. I saw this guy throwing up these middle fingers. I was like, what's he doing? Is he tweaking? And I look, I kind of faced where he's turned, and I see like 8 marshals, right? And they got like 2 or 3 people. They were silent. And this is Maryland. Well, it's still considered the DMV because it's the metropolitan area, but it's Maryland. And they're
So DMV is the local slang.
Gotcha.
DC, Maryland,
For DC.
Virginia.
Okay.
Because
DMV. Okay.
depending on where you're at in the DC zone, you're like 1 street away from being in Virginia, and then on the other side of it, you're like 1 street away from being in Maryland. So us locals just refer to it as the DMV because you're that Northern Virginia, Southern Maryland, DC zone, and even chunks of West Virginia have started being absorbed into this. Yeah,
They
that's
really
where
should start screwing with everybody by just splitting a time zone through there too, just to screw with people. It's always fun when you cross a street in the middle of one city and you're in a different time zone.
Different time zone.
Yeah, but that's
Or different
why,
state.
Tim
Yeah.
Pool operates out of West Virginia / Maryland zone, right outside of Loudoun County. So that's where he's at.
doing their work. The tax dollars at work. Yes, and Union Station literally feels cleaner. It's nicer. I could literally take a walk around. You know
I mean,
the
I don't think
great
we
big
want to watch the
circle
whole
right
5 minutes.
here.
Does she say anything else towards the end that's
No, she's
any
just
different?
super happy about how she can walk around places and not get mugged and
Yeah, I
attacked.
think we get the point, though.
Yeah.
We don't need another 3 minutes of it.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, it's amazing what happens when somebody actually does something about it.
But this is like when they've been interviewing actual local residents. This is pretty much the standard. Isn't it amazing? We're so happy.
well, there was the other Twitter video of the protesters screaming and yelling at the cop, and the cop's like, "I've been here for 28 years, and yes, this is the best we've ever seen it. This last week has been the best we've ever seen it." So, I mean, that's a local cop saying it to one of the protesters. I
Wow.
wish I had bookmarked that video, but it's out there on Twitter somewhere. So, yeah, Trump is cleaning up Washington in one way. Now, if he could clean up this or drain the swamp there, Washington might actually be worth visiting again.
I mean, it would be nice.
So the other small story that we had this week is Abrego, Maryland man Garcia, the MS-13 member and domestic batterer, was freed by a judge. And
Yeah, sending him home, aren't they?
yeah, he thought he was doing him a favor by freeing him, and they're not sending him home. Trump and ICE are looking to send him to Uganda, which his lawyer is upset with because Garcia doesn't speak anything, any of the language from Uganda. Is it Ugandan? I don't even know.
Ugandan?
But that's what they're trying to argue, that it shouldn't happen. And it's like, well, we sent him somewhere where they speak Spanish, and you didn't like that either because he was in so much danger, because he's totally not an MS-13 member or former member. So sounds like he's getting sent to Uganda.
Well, you know what the number one spoken language in Uganda is?
What is it?
English.
English?
So you think he should be fine operating since he's been living in the United States for so long?
Yeah, probably.
Assuming
now-
he knows any English.
Yeah, so he was offered a deal. He was given two choices, right? They slid the two folders in front of him. Deal option number one was Ecuador. And you would get Ecuador if you pled guilty to the human trafficking charges. You would be sentenced to, I think it was 5 years, but that would be deferred based on your deportation to Ecuador.
Mm-hmm.
And if he came back to the United States, he would be immediately incarcerated until deported again. Now the other choice was, if you fight us on this, you're going to Uganda, because the deportation order that we got on, that all this stuff was based on, so was that they weren't allowed to send him back to El Salvador.
Right.
But they could send him to any other country because he was adjudicated an MS-13 member in an immigration court, and his deportation was ordered from the United States. And he argued through his lawyers that he couldn't go to El Salvador because he had helped, allegedly, in the murder of another gang leader's mother. And so he was afraid when he went back to El Salvador, that gang would have him killed. And the judge was like, "Oh, that's reasonable." So
didn't they actually prove that's no longer the case because that gang no longer exists?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of circumstances that would allow him to avoid it, but it's in terms of being able to remove any legal roadblock from the issue, taking El Salvador off the table as a deportation country is fine. Now, what's going to happen is a district judge is still going to try to effing this, and they're going to say that because the government screwed up in the first place, they are now fruit of the poisonous tree principle. They don't get to deport him.
Which is a freaking joke.
Because as Gojira says, they'll
the mainstream
say his
news
due
is already
process was it.
Yeah, mainstream news is already doing this. They're already claiming the win. See, we were right the whole time. He never should have been deported. Maryland man is back with his family, and all is well in the world. And it's like, you guys really don't pay any attention, do you?
No, they don't.
And when they do, like we talked about, they just lie. And that's why it's so great watching Scott Jennings just destroy them on panel after panel on CNN.
in this, he's getting deported. In
Yes.
the end, these district judges will be able to hold it off for probably a matter of weeks before it would go to a higher level where they're going to say you don't even have jurisdiction on this. And he's going to end up in Uganda because he wouldn't take the deal, and he's going to have to learn English. And because it was, he did have to have a translator when he got pulled over by the. Now I'm assuming he actually does speak. My experience
Most of the time
is that
yes.
they do actually have a very good working knowledge of English, and then will pretend based on the authority level of the person asking questions. No habla inglés.
Happens every time I'm explaining a bill to a Spanish speaker. Any other conversation, perfect English. Start talking about the bill, and it's like, no, what?
No que.
Okay.
Okay.
No habla español.
Exactly.
Oh, sorry, I got that backwards.
Right. No habla inglés.
No habla español or inglés.
So yeah, he's going to get deported. The other district ruling thing from this week that is absolutely ridiculous is they're trying to shut down Alligator Alcatraz. I think they've been given 60 days to shut it down. So that one's going to get pushed into the courts again too, because again, the district judges just don't seem to get the message that you're not going to strap the federal government when it comes to immigration rights.
Yep. And the red tape, the environmental red tape that they're falling back on, this airstrip was already built.
Yeah.
They just added things to the existing cleared area. It's, they're going to be fine. They're going to end up. This is just, again, these are petulant children at the district court level that are throwing a little tantrum, knowing full well they're going to get overturned.
Yes. In the meantime, it's just annoying. It's like 1,000 little gnats, biting you, or mosquitoes even.
Yeah, well, they are bloodsuckers, so.
Yes, they are. So those are the two cases I was paying attention to this week. Chad, did we have anything with the Supreme Court this week? Because they're not in session.
No, they're not in session. They're not even going to be meeting.
I wasn't sure if they had taken up an emergency case.
They take the entire summer off.
Okay.
It's well known, for example, that Clarence Thomas will get in his RV with his wife and just start driving around.
Right.
Stays in Walmart parking lots. Feels safe there. Interesting. So,
Man, to each their own, I suppose.
Well, he has a lot of guns too.
Oh,
So-
well, there you go.
Now, I see Mark Daly saying we have no recourse but impeachment, which takes 67 votes. We don't have. How can we stop them? We still impeach them, because when you're an impeached judge, you get put into an administrative leave scenario, and then make them pay for lawyers to defend it. That's not covered.
Yeah. They're not going to be doing things while they're impeached.
So if they're impeached and they get acquitted, good for them. They're not going to lose their lifetime appointment, but they're not going to be sitting on, if Mike Johnson if we were really wielding political power in a no hold barred way, we would have a list of, I would say, 3 justices from every district and impeach them all in the same week, to just take them out of the queue and say, let's see you prove things. Let's see you prove it. And then sure, all of them might get acquitted, but
it's going to take a hell of a long time.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially
And
if you do that many at once.
here's the other thing. It's up to the Senate to schedule it. If you're Thune, you don't do you're not going to pull a Schumer where you basically dismiss it, but you're just going to
just let it linger.
You're going to say we can handle one of these a month
or less. Say until we've got all of our appointments done, we're not going to even touch this, but we are going to let the charges stand until we've got time to do it, because we have to do our jobs.
Yep. And to answer Jaffo's question, if impeachment is a nebulous thing, it's a political process. You can be impeached and removed if you have the votes for doing nothing.
At that position, yes.
I mean, it's the Constitution is vague. It just says high crimes and misdemeanors. I mean, misdemeanors,
Right.
you know.
But what Jaffo's asking, bad behavior or not, impeachment is the process.
Well, they can also be removed if they're arrested, and like
Right.
there are other things, but outside of actually going and having a legal charge against them.
Things done from the bench aren't going to do that.
Yeah, so you'd have to prove like, you know, fraud, bribery, or something like that to actually remove them legally.
That way, yeah.
But if you're going to do it, what's called extrajudicial, meaning outside of, you know, that's what you do. But for their judicial actions, like decisions they're making, that's all impeachment.
Yep.
I mean, and it's on the table. You could do it. I mean, jam them up. They had no problem doing that with all of the Trump. Like, I'm not even talking about January 6ers. Look at the people who just gave legal memorandum, like legal opinions to Trump that are getting disbarred, that are having lawsuits filed against. I mean, the left has no compunction about doing this stuff to just completely. They want to isolate any conservative person from being able to even have a person work for them as a lawyer, because it will be such a bad consequence for their life if they do that. So make it Abraham
Make
Lincoln.
them as miserable as they've made us.
Abraham Lincoln has a famous quote: "The easiest way to get a bad law repealed is to enforce it evenly and vigorously." Because once people are subject to the bad law, they'll make it go away. Like, one of the greatest things I thought we had tried to do to get rid of Obamacare, one of the poison pills was, after it passed, one of the Republican Congresses slipped in that all the people in Congress were subject to Obamacare as it was written. They had given themselves the federal employee
congressional
benefits.
Version. Yeah.
And and it's no surprise that right about the deadline where that was about to kick in, suddenly the congressman got cold feet and decided to change it, because they didn't want to have to live with what Obamacare actually made them do.
Yeah.
Because Brahma, they would have had to go on the marketplaces and pay marketplace rates, because all of them made more money than what was, allowed to get any kind of stipend.
No subsidies. They'd be just like me. Except that they could still insider trade.
Yeah, I guarantee you that if that had actually gone into effect, Obamacare would have probably been nuked or completely changed to the point where you don't even recognize it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a shame.
It is.
So yeah, until we play by the rules that have already been set against us, and luckily, I do think, like, for instance, Tulsi is actually trying to play hardball. She's getting rid of clearances. She's handing over information. We're going after former directors of national security with raids.
Yep.
And
Which is another topic for tonight. Yeah. Which
yeah,
we can
maybe
go on into.
Look at it right. Yeah, let's look at that one right now.
So the feds raided John Bolton's home over classified documents that had been exchanged on a private email server. So the questions are, Chad and Comix, is this a test case, and is this the first of many?
I mean, I hope it's the first of many. I mean, it could be a test case, and it could be all the above. But I mean, who knows? I know that people are trying to say it's retribution, and I think there's enough evidence here to say that it's not, because obviously he's a former, like I said, Trump ally, but he was formerly in the Trump administration and fired, and he wrote a tell-all book about how awful Trump was.
That included classified information.
It included the classified information, but there was like some other stuff apparently. Because I heard, was it Phil and company talking on Timcast, and they were saying like there's something else that was going on. Like he may have had classified documents and basically revealed some of the information to others, not just the stuff with the book. So
as ghostwriter.
Yeah, I suppose the ghostwriter as well, but it was something a little bit different than just the ghostwriter. So who knows? Or it could be the ghostwriter. I'm not 100% sure on that.
So that's all it would take, is if he showed any classified information to the ghostwriter. That's all it would take. Yeah. I don't know if there was more or not.
So this is a famous one because to speak to Kay Roberts, who's in chat, as a retiree from that world, the legal classes never face the punishments those in service face. So this one happened in 2016. This man would
This
eventually,
is
I
the
think,
photos in the sub.
yeah, this guy eventually got pardoned by Trump. He got 1 year in jail for taking 6 selfies on a submarine, and in the background of the images, there was information that was deemed
Classified.
Top secret.
no,
Or
just confidential,
oh, okay.
which is the lowest level of classification. And so he was like, I didn't even realize this stuff was classified. It's just generic. Like they're like, nope, too bad. Like just the layout and design of our submarine is considered confidential.
Yeah.
And this was 2016. So this was at the same time Hillary Clinton had an entire goddamn private server doing shit and got nothing because in James Comey's opinion, she had no ill intent with what she was doing.
Which was also not his role. His
Yeah, which
role
is-
is to investigate, and the attorney general is who is supposed to be bringing the charges, not him just deciding. No, nobody would actually press charges on this.
Yeah, so this is an example of how, and I've talked with Slender about this, and every rank and file military person knows that they will get absolutely royally effed if they get accused of mishandling classified documents or information. And
Yeah.
they have, and this is
They get
because
railroaded.
people have. They're like, when you argue that, well, I didn't know, I didn't. They, you know what they tell you? It doesn't goddamn matter. If
Yeah,
you
it doesn't
didn't know.
matter.
Your job is to be aware.
Specifically, intent doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly. The intent doesn't matter. In fact, the way the law is written, as Brahm is saying, there is no intent threshold. It's just, did you have classified or not?
Yeah, awareness doesn't come into breaking the law or not.
Now,
If the law is on the books, if you're not aware of it and you're breaking the law, you still broke the law.
now what's funny about how they sandbagged Trump? Trump specifically declassified all the stuff he took with him
As a president, he's
as
able
a president
to with just
he was able to do it
on a
because,
whim.
Yeah,
Right.
he specifically took those documents after they were declassified. Biden came in and had the agencies reclassify them after he left.
Jesus.
And then they got him
What a
and said,
dick.
well, and then they had the presidential records people reach out and say, you have confidential and classified material and you need to return it.
Okay, so that's
Meanwhile-
ultimately what he did. That's
Meanwhile, Joe Biden has it in his garage, and well, he's too senile, and he
Yeah,
wasn't
of
even
course.
president at the time. He had it from when he was a senator and a vice president, who has no declassification powers
right.
the way that the president does.
I will say it just for the fact of Robert Herr's interview finally being released and hearing how batshit dementia that man was in that interview. I actually understand why Robert Herr said that because his defense, he
Sunk
basically,
him on its own.
his report was this man 100% broke the law. I would prosecute him normally, but he's such a feeble dementia old man that if I put him in court, juries would not want to put him in jail.
They'd be sympathetic to him being imprisoned.
And that is, and that's when you're a prosecutor or you're working in a legal context, you do have to look at how your defendants or people will be viewed by the jury.
Sure, that's all well and good, but at some point you can't just keep letting anybody who's in the government get away with anything and everything. Somebody's got to be charged. at
No,
some
which
point.
is why I'm perfectly fine with Trump using this. Like I guarantee you that
This is not retribution. This is justice.
Yep.
So when Tulsi Gabbard revoked the security clearances of all these former officials, guess what they have to do? If they have anything in their possession that is now not allowed because of the revoked credentials, they have to turn it in. They have to be upfront and acknowledge, like, I'm no longer going to have, returning any material. I am attesting that I no longer have in my possession any confidential, secret, top secret, eyes only, whatever classification level it is. None of that. So I think they're setting a trap for Brennan and
If you
Clapper
attest to that,
and all
you're
that
not
kind of
allowed
stuff,
to
yeah.
lie to the FBI. We know that.
I can guarantee you that our former FBI director Comey's probably got, as he's walking the beach and seeing random seashell formations of the of the
8647.
8647. I mean, this guy. Although, why it took him so long to realize his daughter was an F-tard and firing her too was interesting.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
again,
Jeffo, I'm fine with it being retribution, but this is not just purely retribution. They opened this door. Now they get to deal with it.
Yes.
well, once again, the Lincoln quote: "The only way to this stuff will not stop until when Republicans in power they apply the same metric to Democrats."
Yeah,
Right.
Chuck Todd had tweeted out earlier today. I guess we're just operating under two wrongs make a right now, and it's like maybe,
Yeah. Yeah.
because if only one side is doing the wrong at all times, then the other side has to join in on that game until both decide to stand down. It's the
Yeah.
same thing that's going on with the gerrymandering, which we're also going to talk about.
Yep.
Well, how is
Because-
Joshua going to learn that the only way to win is to not play the game?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Because right now there are people, as Lindsay's pointing out in the in the reverse context, there are absolutely people who are quote unquote above the law right now, and until those people start getting some scalps taken from their group, none of that stuff's going to change, because there is no human behavioral incentive to stop when you face no repercussion for it. It's a
Yeah.
concept in finance that they call moral hazard. If you keep
Yes.
bailing companies out, they never learn of them.
There's no risk
There's
involved
no risk
anymore.
involved. So you're creating a moral hazard because you're going to keep giving them incentive to repeat the bad behavior because they never face a consequence for it. And that concept, even though it originated within economics, is applicable all over the place. I mean, you can apply it to raising a child, like when we were talking about at the beginning.
Yes.
If you keep bailing a child out, they're going to learn that there's no consequence for the behavior, so they will never self-correct bad behavior. Yeah, so we need to create an incentive for these people to self-correct. Look, I'm not under the illusion we're ever going to be in a situation where the country is suddenly 99% people agree with me on a political basis.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's 40-40 and convince those in the middle. And I think the middle is moving further to the right. In fact, we've seen almost a 4.5 million person shift in registration over to the Republican side in the past year.
I mean, there's been the red shift in registration across the country has been dramatic.
And it's not just a shift in registering Republican, it's actively deregistering from the Democrat Party. 2.5 million of those 4.5 million actively left the Democrats. It's
Well,
one
I
thing.
mean-
It's one thing to register with the party if you were like undecided or usually voted as an undecided. It's a completely different thing to leave your party altogether and join the other party, registering with them.
Well, I mean, it's like the whole thing with the Democratic Party. It's like, why are men, not voting Democratic? It's like, gee, I wonder why. I mean, look how you've been treating men. Look how you've been shitting on men. It's
Yeah.
like it's no wonder men don't want to be a part of your party. It's no wonder that men don't want to, watch Disney movies or Star Wars or the MCU at this point. It's the exact same fucking mentality.
Yeah. I mean, it's the exact same mentality that we're seeing with Gen Z men and dating. It's like,
Yeah.
if all you're told by women is that you're not good enough and screw you, then why participate?
Yep.
It's bad at every level that it is practiced. And the left has been making men out to be the problem in every case at every level for decades now. At least
Pretty
the
much.
Gen Z guys seem to be getting it instead of being effeminate like the millennials.
Yeah.
So one of the first people outside of Bolton that I want to see have an issue also had a bad week. Trump's $550 million New York judgment, the judgment portion, the monetary side was dismissed, but not the full ruling. So Letitia James had a bad week. I'm hoping that she also gets prosecuted because they are investigating her for mortgage fraud of all things. But my question is, if the state doesn't appeal them getting rid of the judgment, should Trump take the win, or should he push for it all to be tossed?
The way it's
Because
constructed, he can appeal up on the actual verdict itself.
right, but is it worth it?
Yeah,
You think it
100%.
is? Because right now it's just the injunctions and the basically the guilty is all that's left. The
No,
teeth was in the 550
the
million.
teeth was in that, but from a rebuke standpoint, it's and by the way, they split 2-2 on that one. There was just instead of 3-1,
It was it three? I thought it was 2-2-1.
or they basically there was not enough. There was no majority to make a decision on that one.
Right.
So it's not the way
What they
Letitia.
basically said was, we believe that this was all BS, but we're not going to get rid of all of it. But we're not also going to charge him $550 million.
Well, yeah, that's because it's Trump, so they don't want to give him the complete win.
There
So,
was
but-
one guy who was fair. I can't remember his name. Widener or something like that.
Yeah, so I think Trump, from a Trump standpoint, they should absolutely.
So if you take it to
Absolutely
the
keep
higher
doing it.
court, they cannot reinstate the 550. Is that what you're saying?
No, that if Trump appeals, he's only going to be appealing the decision part.
Right. But
Now
if
with-
everybody just calls it good here and the state doesn't appeal the 550,
Yeah.
you wouldn't just call it a day and say we won essentially?
No, he still
Because all
lost
that's
his,
really happening.
he lost his bond.
No, did he?
Well, no, because when you post bond, you lose the 10% you put up.
Okay.
So he had to put up, it was 41 million effectively. The bondsman, because the bondsman is guaranteeing the entire
Right.
award.
Even
he-
if the award is thrown out.
Yeah, so even if the award's thrown out, it's like a bail bondsman, right? When you go use a bail bondsman, you're putting up your 10% to make bond. The bail bondsman puts up the remaining balance, and in exchange, when you show up for court, you don't have to pay the whole amount, but the bondsman keeps your 10% that you had to put up.
Yes. So here's where I'm at then. So if it was thrown out together, you think he would get his bond back?
No,
Because
the bond's gone forever.
That's what I'm saying. Well,
No, I'm saying they've
the
suffered a
injunction
loss
is
as a
about the
result.
only- right, but the injunction is about the only thing that still matters.
He could seek
That
legal.
it's can't work, and that he's got the arbiter.
You
Inside.
Yeah, you're roboting pretty
Are you
bad.
roboting
Power.
for anybody else? Yeah.
or
Yeah, he's roboting.
inside the
Okay.
Trump business.
All right, I'm going to assume Brahma's losing internet.
Am I?
Well, you were.
Yeah, you're
Oh,
still
look.
frozen. Robo Brahma.
Yeah. Robo Brahma alert. Robo Brahma alert.
Yeah, he's offline now. All right, so to discuss his point, you could still if you get the entire conviction overturned, you could try to see. Here's where in order to sue them for wrongful prosecution, you'd need it entirely overturned, and that's the wrongful prosecution is how you can try to recoup your legal fees and the damages you've suffered. So they have damages now as a result of the case. If they want to have any ability to recover, they do. Now, what Brahm is saying is, yes, everybody could kind of call it even. They could basically agree not to appeal any further. They get the win that the damages were taken, like the penalty and fines were taken away. But Letitia James gets to still hang her hat on that she convicted the Trump organization.
Yeah.
I think now Letitia James has indicated she plans to appeal that to the state Supreme Court to try to get it returned. So I don't know. I mean, if she's going to do that, then it's a no-brainer that the Trump people will appeal the whole the decision, the fact that they didn't overturn the conviction. And beyond that, they could even go. Now, this is a circumstance where the Trump administration could even not Trump, but the Trump organization could appeal to a federal court once it's through the state court level, because as the reasoning for removing the civil penalty, they use the amendment against punishments that are not, like no gross punishments. So that becomes a constitutional matter. So that does open a route for federal appeals as well.
Well, I mean, the fact
just
this
for
hasn't been
Trump.
tossed out to begin with is ridiculous. I mean, literally the bank said Trump did nothing wrong, and the court was like, "Oh no, we're making shit up."
Yeah. I mean, it was a victimless crime in the fact that Trump, the banks did their due diligence on the asset values, but when they gave him everything. So this is different because currently the Trump administration is investigating several people for mortgage fraud. And this Alan Schiff, Letitia James, who is the Attorney General of New York.
Yeah,
It's different because what they took Trump to court over was a novel legal theory where Trump presented values for his properties that were quote unquote inflated to these banks in order to secure, because he would use those values as collateral to get better loan terms, meaning lower
right.
interest
And
rates.
he did something like literally every business does.
Yeah. No, but here's the problem. The banks then took, like, it's when you fill out your paperwork, you can say your car's worth $1 million. The person you're, an attempt to get a loan based on that as collateral, the bank that you're applying to is going to look at it and say it's like an 88, Tracer. That's not worth $1 million. Sorry. And in this case,
Thanks for playing.
Deutsche Bank, which was the bank, did their own due diligence and reviewed, and they said, we gave him rates based on our valuations of his property, not his own. Now, Letitia James said that is not, it didn't count. We're still going to prosecute him. What Letitia James and Alan Schiff did is they signed, and anybody who's gotten a mortgage knows this, when they applied for federally guaranteed mortgages, and in order to get a federally guaranteed mortgage, you have to use it as your primary residence. And they were applying, in Letitia James' case, she wrote down and signed a paperwork saying that she was applying for a mortgage for a legal residence that would be her primary residence in the state of Virginia. And in Alan Schiff's case, he did it in Maryland. Both of these people are trained attorneys. It is pretty hard to say you didn't realize what you were signing when you're a bar accepted, legally recognized attorney. You're not a layman. And even, here's the thing, they prosecute laymen for doing this too, because the form says specifically, I will be using this as my primary residence. There's not a lot of wiggle room where an average person signing a mortgage doesn't know what that means.
Yeah, they lied. Oh, look, he's back.
But he's still pixelated. And
Yep.
I'm not hearing anything.
No, I'm not hearing anything either.
Can't even
The,
really hear me.
Oh, there we- now we're-
hearing
now we're
something,
getting you. Hey, Crimwin, what's up, dude?
Brahma is experiencing technical difficulties.
Yeah. After these
Now I
messages,
hear
he'll be right back.
Oh, maybe turning your camera off helps your bandwidth.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I turned it off. Can you hear me now?
You're roboting, but less so.
Yeah, it's better than before.
Ever since they cut that freaking line in the backyard, it's been crap.
Yeah, that's basically what we're kind of talking about.
So, oh yeah, we just did the explainer on mortgage fraud and the appeals process for the Trump
How
organization.
banks get their own appraisals.
Yep, exactly.
Nice.
It's gooder, but it could be more gooder.
Yes.
And then
Life
that
is
does-
good, but it could be better.
Yeah, so I would 100% want to see cases against Schiff and Letitia James for mortgage. I mean, here any congressman or senator who's buying a house in Maryland or Virginia, I would immediately, and I would do this for Republicans too, across the board. Like, are you guys being dicks and signing this as your primary residence, it's an asshole thing to do. Let's check. Because I know there are people who have had their mortgages pulled because of signing that when it was supposed to be like a rental property, and they were just regular people who didn't, like they didn't even fill out the paperwork yet because they hadn't gone to closing, and the person at the mortgage originator was like, oh, so you're doing, yeah, I told you this was a rental property from the beginning. There's emails going back to day one. They're like, oh yeah, we filled it out wrong. And he's like, I'm supposed to close tomorrow. I was like, no, you're not closing anymore. We canceled it. Because why? Because it's not going to be your primary residence. So we have to rework it. The interest rate is now going to be like 3 points higher.
God.
But the other thing, if you guys can hear me, the other thing with Tish James is she also filled out on the loan paperwork that it was a 4-unit property in one of the properties, and it's a 5-unit property. And in almost all mortgage loans, going from a quad up to a 5 units or more gives you a completely different rate. So having it as a quad, you're getting a better rate than you would get if you actually admitted that 5th unit. So she's in trouble on that as well. She actually did multiple forms of mortgage fraud.
Yeah, no, I would definitely go after both of them. Like I said, start really taking scalps, and if they end up, for Letitia James, her mortgage fraud originated in Virginia. I would charge her in one of those. I think it was in Virginia Beach, which is a very heavily. That's one of the segments in Virginia where there is more Republicans than Democrats for a city zone, because it has so many military retirees who are very sensitive to people lying about things on forms. Prosecute her there. For Adam Schiff, he committed mortgage fraud in Maryland. I would put him into a panhandle district court in Maryland, where it's it's more West Virginia than government employees are living in that kind of zone. I would start the same way they form shop.
Yeah, judge
I would,
shop.
I would,
Do it.
I would start doing it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the other topics we had, actually, Gavin Newsom hits 3 of them. So maybe we should go into a couple Gavin Newsom things, because even though I don't think there's a chance in hell he's going to be president, that's who the Democrat Party seems to be coalescing around at this early stage.
I want him to be the candidate because I want to watch his campaign crash and burn as everyone wheels out all the stupid shit he's done over the last 5 fucking years and displays it for the entire country. That way they realize, yeah, this guy really is a bad choice.
Yeah.
Destroy this man's political career by running him for president.
It'd be hilarious. I mean, it'd be not much different than Kamala Harris. He may be somewhat popular in California, but that could also be based on mail-in voting and other discrepancies that we see in California, because I don't think California is as blue as they tried to make it, and that's also part of the gerrymandering. But Gavin, with his tweets, I mean, all the people on the left are saying we're outraged over it. I'm not outraged in any way. I think it's a freaking joke, because Gavin seems to think being fake is authentic, and his followers seem to think that being fake is him being authentic too. Because if you're going to pretend to do everything as Trump would, Trump's at least authentic in the way he speaks. Gavin is not. And the other part of it is Gavin hired like 2 or 3 people to run his Twitter account.
Yeah.
So these aren't Gavin's thoughts. These aren't his tweets. It's not even him that's able to be somewhat funny in any way.
Well, I mean, one thing that we kind of saw in that documentary is that, somebody's tweeting for Trump, but Trump is literally telling them what to tweet.
He dictates the tweets.
Exactly.
He just doesn't use his own fingers to type it, because he's busy enough that if something comes to him, he just says, all right, type this, hit send. So the other thing that I think is hilarious, I brought this up last night on Zach's show, is so Gavin has started a new merch line. that includes red hats in the style of Trump's that say Gavin was right about everything or Newsom was right about everything. I am just waiting for the moment that one of his supporters is wearing that hat that looks like the iconic red hat and gets jumped by a whole bunch of people in California. And he gets one of his own supporters beat half to death.
Oh my God, that'd be
because
funny.
they dared to wear the red hat, but the people are too stupid to recognize anything but the red hat. It's like a bull seeing red.
Dude,
you
Tox,
know
if you're out there listening, we need to make a hat that says Gavin was wrong about everything.
I would, yeah.
Yeah, so
Merch it.
here's 100% here's how he would spin that. Isn't it crazy how Trump brought this violence to people? Like, it's Trump's fault. He would immediately blame Trump for the someone. Yeah,
Of course he would. We're all going to know the truth.
Yeah. Well, and again,
the truth is he's going to get somebody hurt with this merch.
Well, and again, what it is it's if an incident like that happens, it's red meat for his base. The rational people that basically see, okay, it's a bunch of crazies that's doing the shit, beating up people with red hats, because they have TDS. Like I said, people who aren't part of the ideology, aren't crazy, are going to see it for what it is. But for his base, it's going to be fucking red meat.
Yeah. And he's got a number of different things on the merch shop. The one that I find particularly hilarious is he put out a Bible like Trump did and then said it sold out within minutes. It's like, how many did you print? One? Because I know nobody following you.
It's sold out in minutes because all those leftists want to go burn them.
That is a possibility. I just think he sold one or two and that's all he had in stock.
Probably. I mean, that's probably the reality of the situation, but my story is funnier.
Yes, it is. So one of the other tweets that he had put out, I think it was yesterday, was, trying to take a victory lap about how Trump has increased electricity cost around the country. And then you look at reality, and we'll bring this up. Where has electricity cost increased? And I'm sorry, it's Twitter and it's just a picture, so it's hard to blow up. But the highest states rates, Hawaii, California, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Rhode Island.
Oh, yeah,
Highest
those are all
city
red states, man.
Yeah. Honolulu, San Francisco, New York, Boston, and Hartford.
And I'm sure all those cities vote red as well.
So their increases are bringing up the national average, and he's taking a victory lap saying it's Trump's fault. While
And it's
also
all the
those
places
states are
that
all
are-
places that are green energy.
Yeah, they're
dependent.
going to the renewable energies the hardest.
Yes. So, again, they will lie to you at every turn if they think they can score a political point by it. And it's not that hard to debunk.
Mm-hmm.
Oops.
It's the energy call. I mean, I think the Trump is I think they did with Zeldin an announcement this past week that they're halting all wind and solar programs that were federally funded.
I don't think they're taking down the ones that they've already got, but they're not adding new to it.
And they're not going
At the same time, any companies, I think that they had said that any companies that are coming in that are going to be doing any kind of mass AI, they're going to have to build their own plants, connected to them to provide their own energy to not be a drain on the grid, and then sell any excess energy to the grid. So we'll see more plants being built.
All right, look, I think I may have mentioned it before. The time is ripe. What we need to be doing, because it's going to
nuclear.
Well, no, it's yes, and it's a yes and for nuclear because we need to solve two problems. We have a growing water shortage, fresh water, because especially data centers, places where they're putting up a lot of data centers, they use a ton of water, in addition to putting a burden. Yeah, in addition to putting a burden on the grid. So we should be building nuclear power on the coastline that are combined as desalination plants.
Use the technology.
Yeah.
Well, okay. The one thing I find kind of interesting about that, because I have worked at a data center, and I know that sometimes data centers are cooled by water because one of the ones that we had in Vancouver was, but the ones we had in San Antonio were not water cooled.
I can tell you in Virginia, which has more data centers than anywhere, I think we even beat Silicon Valley now. They use water, and it is a giant drain on the local water table. And what happens is the water companies then jack up the access rates for everybody to cover to cover the amount of usage that is now coming from these data
Right.
centers.
Well, because I remember when it happening in Vancouver, where this one data center was at, there was a fire, and obviously the fire department was using the water, and the data center was overheating because obviously it was not getting water, and we had to shut stuff down. But the ones, like I said, here in San Antonio, no water. It's all just regular AC.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean, there can be different ways, but
Yeah, I know.
I like the idea of nuclear data centers and desalinization plants, because we've been calling for nuclear for years because
Yes.
it is the most efficient, and even though I don't really give a crap, the most green power that you're going to get. And the power plants that we would be using now are nothing like freaking Chernobyl.
Well, yeah. Well, the power plants we had even back in the 70s were nothing like Chernobyl.
Exactly. But I mean, that's the boogeyman that they're all scared of.
Yeah, it is.
The whole point is they want to keep climate change as the other boogeyman. So it's not really that nuclear is the boogeyman, it's that climate change is. And if you build enough nuclear plants, then climate change becomes a non-issue because
Yeah.
we all know it's bunk anyway.
Yeah, it's a wedge issue, and they don't want it to go away.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the people be damned, because they're the ones that ultimately are going to pay the price and suffer as a result. But it's not like these politicians give a shit.
Yes, but I kind of like the idea of tying, these private data center, corporate data center type situations to having to provide their own power and then sell the excess off to the actual grid.
Well, and the other thing too, I want to point out, the data centers I did work at that were not water cooled were smaller. They were not very large.
Yeah, he's talking like AI centers now.
Yeah.
Where it's
Not even a look. I gotta show you. Let me see if I can pull up a picture of what Loudoun County looks like. County data centers, because these things are not small. Let me show. All right, so this is all right. Cool. This is a good picture of it. Check this out. This is like right next to some housing, so you can kind of get a frame of reference for how big these suckers are.
yeah,
that's-
like Amazon warehouses.
So that is one right there. Comix.
Yeah.
That's like, you see how it's the same. That's like one data center set
Yeah.
that they
Well,
built.
and like I said, the one I worked at was much smaller than that.
You know what's really funny is you see that little bubble top right in that background.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the Washington Commanders have their practice field.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're right out of Loudoun County. But it is, Ohio is going to be the next hub where they're building, because they love the Mid-Atlantic because they generally have access to more water resources, so they can make big ass data centers, and the communities tend to be okay with them, at least at first, till they see all the consequences of what comes with it. But yeah, Virginia has more data center square footage. I think they're about to. I know Prince William County just okayed a 5 million square foot zone that's going to be multiple data centers.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's
Godzillionaire, the movie War of the Worlds is already out. It's horrible. It's one of the worst movies made this year from everything that everybody has said about it. It's one of those that it's so bad it might be almost good.
So bad it's hilarious.
I know
But,
that. I know, was it Mad and Slender who watched it, and they were just like apoplectic.
Oh,
It
there's
was
been a lot of people that have watched it and they're like, this is so bad. Drinker's review on it was basically like, this is the best movie ever. Completely sarcastic the whole time.
Yeah. Now here you go. As just a nice break on our current, before we get to the next topic, I want to show you. This is Donald Trump has done the reverse of the Cracker Barrel. So this was the Oval Office before he got in, and this is it now.
Now it's I love gold.
So once again, before, after.
I love gold. That's fucking hilarious.
Shave me from
Before,
myself.
and even look at the frames. Like
He gilded everything.
That's fucking funny.
And then he's got the plane in front
I know.
on the table in between the two couches.
oh, do you see the B-2 bomber on the left?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's like, that's what I had fly over Putin.
When they brought the FIFA trophy last week, he was like, "Can I just put it over there with the rest of them?"
Oh, hold on. Yeah, we've got that. We've got that clip.
Then he said, "I might even play.
Where's my...
I don't look so great in shorts, but I might get out there and
Where the
play."
heck? Oh, where am I? Why is it going to all? Bookmarks.
I don't know,
Bookmarks.
but I have the problem with the bookmarks where I keep so many that it just starts jumping on me.
There you go.
Yeah.
Here we go. This is...
As well, this, which is the winner's trophy. It is the trophy that the winner of the FIFA World Cup wins.
By the way, why was Christy Noem there?
Yeah.
I don't know. Just saying.
It's only the FIFA president, presidents of countries, and then those who
Noam is DHS, right?
Yeah. And FYI...
Well, she'll have to protect the FIFA.
Oh, yeah, that's true. For this meeting, Trump decided to wear the Trump was right about everything hat.
Yes.
touch it because it's for winners only. And since you are a winner, of course, you can as well touch it. It's pretty heavy. Yeah. It's the winner trophy. The last one who lifted that is Lionel Messi of Argentina. And here it is in the Oval
Well, you
Office,
just held it.
in the White House.
Can I keep it?
For you. Well, you can. We're not giving you World Cup.
You notice even his photos behind him have gold frames?
Yes. At least some of them on the left. There's a few different styles, but yeah.
That's serious.
It fits well.
That goes very well on the wall right over there. We'll put it right below the angels.
It fits well here, I think.
Beautiful. Yeah,
You can keep it until we have to give it to the next winner.
That's fine. That's a beautiful piece of gold, I will say. That's beautiful.
Yeah. That's why we.
So there's the,
Yeah.
That's funny.
So I imagine that's why she's there. She'll be having to deal with a whole bunch of the logistics of it, right?
you would think.
Or
right?
he may just like having a hot woman behind him. Or, as Jeff was saying, he may have just been trolling South Park.
Might have been.
And getting back to the hats real quick. At the beginning of the week, we started this whole week with having the European
All the world leaders.
So Trump decided to show them he has a special, like...
Here's my hat collection, guys.
And you see how there's a stack of the hats? He can give them out, whichever version he wants. He can either wear it or give them out. And so you can see up top the Trump 2024. Right here in the middle is the Trump was right about everything. We've got 4 more years, so that's the one he was grabbing.
That's the one that Gavin's so pissed off about.
Yeah. And
Was it 4 more years or was it the Trump 2028?
Trump 2028, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, here's one that I love. The Gulf of America sitting right over here. Oh, there's another Gulf of America. He just has them in different colors, red, black, white, whatever. Then the USA styles. I mean, he's got the dark MAGA, the regular classic MAGA. I just love the idea that he's making the world leaders come here. He's like, which hat do you want? You're going to have to put it on.
Are there any you like?
You're going to have to put it on. Hey, Marcone, if you want me to call Candace, I'm going to make you wear one of these hats. Why don't you bring your wife in here? These are man sizes. She can handle it. Not Melania. She's woman all the way.
We have to get her one of the ladies' hats.
Hey, Zelensky. I know you're probably not as excited with Biden out here. There's no place where you can just grab a bike to get a bump. But
I wish we could have provided you with a camo hat, since you're always wearing camo instead of suits.
I love how he's fucking wearing a suit now.
I see you're wearing a
He
suit.
laughed.
You still didn't have a tie. You know I make ties. You can buy them. They're Trump branded. They'll go down. They'll go. You're a little man, so they're gonna go down to your ankles because my ties are long.
I like the interaction with the reporter when Zelensky was in the office. The first question, I see you're wearing a suit today, and Trump's like, "That's the guy who made fun of you last time."
Is that Dusty that said that?
Zelensky's like, "Yes, I remember, and yes, you're wearing the same suit as well."
Yeah. So I just love this picture. That he's just. I feel like he's open. He has his own little gift shop in the White House for people. There's pens behind him. Pamela's like, "Hey, what do I want to give out to you? I've got coins. I've got hats."
I'd take a hat and a rocks glass because those rocks glasses, that thing cost me $40 in Vegas.
Oh, you wouldn't want a one of the presidential challenge coins?
Sure.
Whatever. I mean, yeah.
You
sure.
did you see while he was golfing yesterday, he saw some little kid that was, watching in the stand. Well, not the stands, but just the group that was kind of hovering around watching him play through. So he called the little kid over and gave him one of the presidential signing Sharpies.
Well, that was nice of him.
Nice.
Just happened to notice the kid, gave him a Sharpie.
It's like, I would have given one to Zelensky, but he didn't pass the height requirement.
He wouldn't sign shit.
He's like, I told him, I'll give you this Sharpie if you sign your rare earth minerals to me.
So to finish off the Newsom talk, there is also now the ongoing redistricting war, which Newsom thought he was being pretty clever, taking away seats from about 5 Republicans and adding them to the Democrats. The Republicans have looked at it, and at this point, they could probably take an extra 20 seats if the states that can redistrict
I
would
know
redistrict.
Missouri is now going to do a redistricting.
Indiana, I believe, is
Indiana is
going
going to do one. And the other
Kansas.
thing is, if these states, if the Supreme Court decision in the fall comes down where they can eliminate minority or majority districts, it's a
whole different ballgame.
Like the entire South, like the Deep South, is going to become a 100% Republican, delegation.
Oh,
But
now
my
that Tox
favorite-
is here. Oh, we
Yeah,
should
my-
tell him. You need to come up with a shirt that says Gavin was wrong about. Sorry, either a shirt or a hat that says Gavin
red
was
hat.
wrong about everything. Wrong about everything. Yeah.
Yeah. So
How about a shirt that says celebrating 22 years of fixing homelessness in 10 years?
yeah.
With Gavin's face on it. Yeah, that'd be good.
My favorite part about this redistricting war was Illinois trying to jump in this week. And then they realized they can't redistrict since it would actually put some of their safe seats in jeopardy if they tried to change the map in any way.
I
So
find that absolutely hilarious.
ultimately an admission that they have gerrymandered to the point that they can't change the map at all, or it actually jeopardizes some of their other seats that are so gerrymandered. So you're going to find that in a few of these Democrat states, whereas the Republicans have actually, yes, they've gerrymandered, but not to that degree. And now, as we were saying, fight fire with fire. If we can get 20 extra seats, and then if we have the Supreme Court ruling come down and we can take even more, do it. Because it's no longer a thing where, we're changing the rules. It's playing by the rules they've been playing by.
Exactly.
Well, the other thing is California, technically, it's going to a ballot measure.
Yes.
So,
Special election.
and I believe the last polling, actually, majority of Californians didn't want it. It'll be interesting to see who actually votes. But
Well, and it's hard to get people to come out in a special election.
And so I'll tell you that in this case, the Republican people of California, who generally don't vote in the numbers they could because they feel like they're going to lose, may be more motivated to show up and vote for this one in terms of voting against redistricting. for the purposes of preserving their single voices that they have. New York already has an independent commission required to create, and New York state law requires they
Hochul already
create.
got smacked down.
Yeah, she already got it smacked down the last time she wanted to fix it, so I don't know why she thinks it'll suddenly change next time.
Right.
There's, as Trump pointed out, there's not a lot of room because the Democratic states have gerrymandered so hard. They don't have a lot. There's no low hanging fruit for them to take.
Yeah, that's the point with Illinois.
Yeah, and if the South and Midwest decide to redistrict after California does their thing, like Brahma says, it's probably going to be, I would say conservatively 15, more like 24, 25 seats that could suddenly become solid Republican seats.
Yep.
Fair is fair.
And
Okay,
we
Billie
need
Jean.
that for the midterms because we need Trump to have the last 2 years not having a fight with freaking impeachments every couple minutes.
Yep.
We need
Which
a-
brings us to our next point on the gerrymandering. Representative Green out of Texas will probably not have a seat anymore. The burly black guy that has brought articles of impeachment at least, 6 times against Trump already? Will probably not have his seat.
Oh no, how awful.
I know Jasmine
As well as
Crockett was
Jasmine
really,
Crockett.
yeah.
Yeah, Jasmine Crockett. Oh no, how awful. So sad.
Yeah, it's a shame.
Yeah, damn shame. Anyway.
So Soul Assassin, those are two different things with Cali losing seats. So they're, yes, the number of representatives
Apportionment.
that are apportioned to California has continually been going down because of net migration out. But the way of the 50 seats that they have, how they draw the boundaries for them, which is what's the gerrymandering, which is the redistricting. They have about 5 Republican congressmen for the entire state.
Though 40% of the state votes Republican.
So those are, and by the next census, California, depending on how much
How many people we kick out of the country?
we consciously decouple from our country, they could lose anywhere from 15 to 18 seats because of the massive amount of bodies that are non-citizens that are counted for California's apportionment.
And you could see a few seats lost in some of the other border states that are Republican, too. I mean, because we're deporting from everywhere.
Yep.
But we're fine with that.
Yeah, small price to pay.
Get them out.
Small price to pay.
Get out.
Indeed. Get out. Get to the chopper.
Get the chopper, get out of the country.
We got $10 from Toxic Man Flu. Sorry, I'm still trying to recover from Chad having infections when he talks. I think he meant inflections. Did you guys discuss Trump actually going fascist with 10% of Intel, Connecticut banned AR-15s, and cash might be out? Haven't heard anything on cash. Haven't paid attention to Connecticut. I do know that Trump basically did a percentage deal for 10% of Intel.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what's going on with Connecticut and the AR-15s. Not up to date.
Connecticut banned AR-15s after Sandy Hook. That was like 12 years ago.
And nothing I've seen said anything about cash.
Yeah, I mean it's now if you're talking about the fact that an appeals court found in favor of the AR-15 ban in the Second Circuit, which handles Connecticut, that happened this week. But it was not an unexpected thing. This is there's been multiple appeals courts, including the 4th District, which is down here, handles Maryland, Virginia, that have upheld assault weapons bans. I think Illinois' appeals court, 9th Circuit out of California, Oregon, and Washington appealed. So we're waiting. There is a possibility of a circuit split coming soon, because There, it's the district that handles New Jersey. Let me check this. New Jersey, they have their assault weapon ban is rounding up the court there, and it is the Third Circuit. That one has just pulled it to hear it en banc, and the Third Circuit Court of Appeals is majority Republican. And in fact, it's about to get even more majority Republican because there's a Trump nominee that is on the, on basically in the Senate to be approved to go to the Third Circuit. So it is widely anticipated that the Third Circuit is going to find against New Jersey's AR-15 ban under Bruin, which is the right reasoning, and that this will create the circuit split that will guarantee a need for a Supreme Court decision on it. If there's a circuit split within the United States, the Supreme Court has to take the case. Because you have effectively two versions of the law that are operating. Hopefully
Makes sense.
We have 9 federal districts of appeals courts. If any 2 of these districts disagree, you're creating case law in each zone that operates fundamentally different than the other place, and you can't have that. So the Supreme Court, basically every single time that happens, has to take the case. It will be required to, so they can settle the law of the land for everybody. So this is what we've wanted. If you're a 2A person, you've been waiting. They put off the Maryland assault weapons ban case last term, and it was Kavanaugh who wrote that they are probably going to take one in the next term, which is 2025 going into 2026. This is probably I think they had their eyes on this case out of the Third Circuit to create the split so that they could do it, because they wanted to see what all the arguments were, as Tox is saying, where all these other districts were twisting Bruin to allow for bans on AR-15s, usually falling back on the unusual and dangerous line within Bruin to give them reason to ban what they call the assault rifles. The reason that goes away is because the same decision, Bruin, states that anything that is in common use by the public is therefore not unusual or dangerous.
Yeah, and
that's what
AR-15 is pretty fucking common.
You can't, AR-15 being the most popular gun in America. It'd be like saying minivans are dangerous and unusual when it's the most common family vehicle.
Right.
So it's going to be, I think, and once this case actually gets to the Supreme Court, I believe this is going to be Clarence Thomas's swan song decision. He has been after, what is it? After, why am I blanking on it? Scalia? After Scalia passed away, Clarence Thomas has become the largest advocate, and he has written the decisions for the Second Amendment cases. He has famously said the Second Amendment is not a second-class right. So I think he wants his lasting legacy to be redefining the Second Amendment as a full, pure individual right, and mandating that guns that are common use for the average person cannot be banned by leftist governments. He'll probably write in that magazines, being a requirement for these semi-automatic weapons to operate, cannot be limited or banned.
Nice.
Because it's the same idea. There's a famous case where I think it was out of St. Louis, they had put a tax on ink, knowing that the newspapers would be punished as a result of this. And it was overturned once it went to the Supreme Court, because they said, even though the ink is not the press itself, it is integral to printing and publishing of the document. Therefore, you can't put a tax on it because it impacts the First Amendment. And the Second Amendment logic holds true for magazine, because there's a judge out of the Ninth Circuit in California named Benitez. He's the one who keeps overturning things out of California before the appeals court gets to it. And he has written extensively, using that same logic that you can't have magazine bans, you can't have bans on all these other things, because even though magazines are not guns, they're necessary for operation of the guns in the most efficient way. So you can't tax them as an extension of the Second Amendment rights that every person has, or limit them or block them. Because as anybody who's a gun owner knows, California compliant weapons, they can't have what they quote unquote call large magazines. They
Anything
can't, you know,
larger than 10,
exactly.
10 rounds.
And they're
which is
trying to, they're
retarded.
even trying to go to fixed magazines where you almost have, where you actually, if everybody remembers the M1 Garand, where you have to put the
Right.
actual clip into the magazine from above.
Yeah. And that's actually a clip and not a magazine.
Exactly. I get very touchy about that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I do
so-
too. A little bit.
Yeah, so there's a lot of positive two-way cases that are winding their way up, and I think Clarence Thomas, just the same way that Kennedy wanted his final decisions and things, I think once he gets this big one, that'll be the day he hands in his retirement paperwork.
And then on the Cash Patel, I think I found what he's talking about. It wasn't. There's not a new co-director. There is a new co-deputy director,
yeah.
which is the Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey is going to be working aside Bongino as a co-director or co-deputy director. So I don't think there's any chance of Patel leaving, and I think it's probably to take some of the stuff off of Bongino's plate and spread it around. But I don't know. But that's all I see on that one. So we're getting close to the end, and we do have one more segment that's for fun, and somebody's already asked about it. What were you going to say, Comix, while I bring it up?
I was actually wanting your guys' thoughts about the whole thing with the Intel situation. I'm kind of curious.
Perfectly reasonable.
Because my understanding what they're doing is that there's the concern of China taking Taiwan, and since Taiwan is the largest manufacturer of chips, that's the reason why they're investing into Intel.
It's it's national security reasoning. It's
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
because so many of those chips are used for defense.
Yeah, no,
For everything.
Yeah, and
Well, I know, but that's particularly the reason why they're making the investment is because of national security, as in the Defense Department. The fact that so many of those chips go into missiles and shit like that, planes, et cetera, et cetera. It's like I understand where talks is coming from, but at the same time, I do think that there is a national security aspect to it.
Do you want to share the super chats you got real quick, Romo, on those?
Sure. We'll just go in order. Talks for $5. Gavin was wrong about life, the universe, and everything, hat and shirt. Trump made everyone that called him a fascist right, so maybe that too. Copy Kitty for $5. Are you still going to cover the dim no words? Yes, we are.
Yeah, that's where we're going into
That's what's
next.
going next.
Yeah. So just back on before we transition with the fascist thing, the government has been investing in businesses since World War II at least, picking quote unquote winners and losers, doing all that stuff. Like the idea of Trump being a fascist because he's requiring a 10% stake in Intel in exchange for these federal guarantees. It's perfectly fine. If we're going to spend the tax money, I want us to get return on investment. This is a national security thing. There's rumors that Trump is working on a deal with mining companies to build copper mining in the United States, which we absolutely 100% need, because copper as a source and core material is necessary for so much construction. Yes, it was fascism then, and it's fascism now. Well, here's the real world. The Social Security is communist or socialist, and it's still going to be here. Sometimes you just have to deal with things as they are. Build a DeLorean that can fucking go back in time. Whatever. This is the real world. We're going to own 10% of Intel, and it's going to be good for America. And I say, if it's good for America,
Is that what they're actually doing? Is the government actually buying 10% of Intel, or are they basically investing money?
They're taking a stake of
they're
10%.
saying for the money we're giving you, we're getting 10% of Intel.
We want a 10% stake in Intel. So the government is taking a stake in Intel.
Yeah, not sure how I feel about that part. I thought they were investing in the company. I didn't realize that they're actually.
Well, they are
taking 10%.
investing. No one else wants to do it right now. So if you're going to do it, you're going to get a share.
I would rather the government be divesting as well, not buying assets, but I can also
But that's
see
the
the
thing.
reasoning on this one.
Here's the problem. in the quote unquote global economy, any corporation is going to flee the United States for manufacturing purposes, right? Because on paper, it will never make sense to build the factory here. Would it? No. So unless you've got the government as a stakeholder bigger than goddamn Vanguard and BlackRock telling you, fuck off, you're building it here for national security, and because we own a chunk of you, they're not going to do it. So we need this manufacturing base. This is where, if we're going to spend this money, this is what we should be doing. If USID had a $60 billion budget going out the door to fund every goddamn thing in the world, spending some money so Intel builds a chip factory in the United States so our next generation weapons are actually built in America and not Chinese drones, we should be doing it.
Well, no, I understand the idea of basically saying, hey, we're going to give you, some money to basically build factories here. And the, obviously the stake is that you build the factories here with this money that we're giving you. I think it's another thing when the government basically says, yeah, we own 10% of your company. That's kind of the issue I have with it.
But every time we give them the money and tell them to build the factory, they never follow through.
Well,
so, making sure we have the ownership stake to make them build it here is just, it's a natural response.
I think the thing is, at that point, if we give them money and they build it somewhere else, isn't that basically breach of contract and they can be sued?
Is it?
I don't know. Is it?
It depends on what the wording is. If you're Solyndra and you got $10 billion from Obama, you just give it all to your people and then declare bankruptcy.
Jesus. Yeah.
Well, and there's no board membership, there's no vote, there's nothing. It's just a true 10% stake.
Gojira gets it. Like if it's a choice between Intel or more Solyndra horseshit, I'm beating you with Intel. Yeah, this is the only look. Doing it the other way for 60 years hasn't worked. We've lost our entire manufacturing base.
I get that. That is a massive problem, and.
Talk saying it's a complete bullshit argument. Explain to me in a global free-range capitalist system how you're going to get a company to justify building a factory to investors in the United States. Can you do it? Can you explain to me how you can tell me as an investor why I would build my factory here instead of somewhere else in the global, supply chain? Financially,
the U.S. is still going to purchase all of it either way.
So why wouldn't I go to where it's lower labor costs and lower, to make sure I get a higher profit?
Argument. I'm just saying, yes, the U.S. is still going to buy it either way. So it'd be better to have it built here than to have them doing it elsewhere.
No. So the reason, if you're not the federal government making them do it because you have ownership. They would never. Arguing. Yeah, so you understand they'd never do it here. That's why we're getting
There's
this
no
argument
incentive to until we get manufacturing back here.
When Trump put those tariffs up, these are the same arguments, right? That was like we can't do that. We can never build here. We've got to be able to build in China. At the same time, they tell us it's automation, but they also need cheap labor other places. So yes, I see that other in order to make that happen, to really make changes, to get these things back into America, sometimes you gotta go crazy. You gotta go against what would be the grain. Again, if you're Lincoln, sometimes you gotta lock up the legislature so that Maryland doesn't secede. If you're Trump, sometimes you gotta take a chunk of Intel to make sure they build the factory here. If you're Trump, we got a share of U.S. Steel when we allowed them to be purchased by Japan, by a Japanese company. And what did we require? We required that they build the plant in the United States, and they're doing it. And they're going to sell that steel to American car. Well, it's funny. They already agreed. They did this so they could supply the steel to Japanese and Korean car makers who built their factories here in the United States, so they could avoid tariffs. And the United States owns a chunk of U.S. Steel now, even though it's technically a subsidiary of a Japanese company. But is it still good for America that we have U.S. Steel with open factories making steel in the United States? Damn right it is. Because the other choice was U.S. Steel would have gone bankrupt, and all we would have been getting is Chinese remanufactured recycled steel, where they buy up our scrap, they melt it down, and then form it and send it back to us and sell it at, discount prices. If you want all your stuff to be Chinesium, keep on trucking. That's what you're gonna get.
Chinesium.
Chinesium sounds funny.
All right, for the last topic of the night, the bonus topic. The left paid a think tank to do a research study on what makes them sound insane. And they came up with a number of blacklisted terms, which Copied and Slender have been referring to as the no-no words. And we're going to take a look at some of them that they come up with. We've been calling them insane about this forever. Not exactly sure why they had to hire a think tank to figure this out. So among the blacklisted...
they could have hired a 12-year-old.
Yes. So we'll just go through these because it's freaking hilarious. It's literally everything that we've said for years and years and years. The first one on the list, privilege. The second one, violence, as in environmental violence. Dialoguing, triggering, othering, microaggressions, holding space, body shaming, subverting norms, systems of oppression, cultural appropriation, the Overton window, existential threat to either the climate, democracy, or the economy, radical transparency, stakeholders, the unhoused, meaning the homeless,
Yes.
food insecurity, housing insecurity, person who immigrated.
Person whose immigration status is questionable.
Yes. Birthing person, cisgender, dead naming, heteronormative, patriarchy. all encompassing, LGBTQIA plus, BIPOC, allyship, incarcerated people, and involuntary confinement.
Oh my God. Involuntary confinement.
So we can go back to calling people criminals. We can go back to calling people illegals. And the best part is this is from the left to the left saying these are blacklisted terms. So they're either going to have to come up with something even crazier or they have to go back to actual English and actually go by, criminal, homeless, hungry, illegal immigrant. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff there. But what are you guys' favorites? I still love the birthing person.
Well, I mean, there's so many of them. It's basically, these are the words of the left that they've been using for like the last, 15 some odd years at this point. And the fact that they're now like realizing after 15 years that this is not helping them, I find absolutely fucking hilarious. The whole thing with violence, like words is violence, everything is violence, silence is violence, all that shit right there. I find it hilarious that they had to first off go to a think tank and have a study done and go, well, maybe these words aren't exactly helping our cause because it makes us look like idiots. A bunch of whiny crybabies, etc.
Yeah, I think the study was what makes us sound insane.
Yeah. Well, on top of that too, it's like asking the question, I don't understand. Why are men leaving the Democratic Party? Why are they no longer voting Democrat? I don't understand. Maybe we should have a study done and get this solved. It's like, if you had half a brain, you would already know the answer.
I don't think that we should worry because the vocal segment of the Democratic, team, so to speak, is not going to let them abandon this language.
No, the far left nodding.
They will tell you, they're going to, because remember, they gave it to people who were trying to do that last time. And even, Kamala was trying to run her vibe campaign, and they still couldn't abandon doing this stuff. They've known this. This isn't new. They can't help it because their voters demand it. They won't let them get rid of it. If because you know what,
Well, it's
getting
going to
rid
be
of
the majority of their party is going to be white liberal women, and they're the ones that primarily use this language, not normies. I mean, you would think they would consider it an attack against them, all the feminists, but apparently they like being called birthing person and cisgender and allies.
Well, I mean, that's the first thing you need to do to get these woke white women to stop is start using that language against them. Oh, just you're just as lovely as any trans woman, darling. See how well that fucking flies.
Or the Lizzo argument. No, Lizzo is definitely more beautiful than you because we can't call fat people.
Fat,
to me, this
that is
circles
beautiful.
back to the Cracker Barrel thing. Like the liberal white woman won't be able to help herself.
Yeah.
They may try to, even if they try to tamp it down, they're still going to do stupid like shit. And then they'll go out there and be like, it's just a vocal minority that seems, but for the most part, everyone's super excited about being an ally.
Yeah.
It's going to be like,
everybody that I've talked to really likes what we've done. And it's like, well, you're in a very small bubble because probably everybody that worked at Cracker Barrel in the corporate area that would have spoken out against you has probably gone at this point.
Well, and the funny part too, it's like, oh, well, everybody loves this idea. Well, apparently your stock doesn't.
Yes. Those who actually invested money and have skin in the game said, nope, we're out.
Yeah.
And that's what businesses need to start understanding is the skin in the game is much more important than just what everybody's feelings are on it when you're an actual business. And the whole thing with the Cracker Barrel thing, it's not just about Cracker Barrel, and it's not just about the brand logo change. My thing has been, you look at everything, all the rebrandings that have been done, all of it goes to having no personality whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
McDonald's did it. Taco Bell did it. Whataburger is the example I've been using, going from the old A-frames to just another square building. The Pizza Hut buildings used to be completely recognizable. Now they're just square buildings. It's the same with all of our architecture. At what point does our architecture stop just being modern squared off buildings and go back to being something that is memorable or has some soul or personality? And this is just a microcosm of all of that.
Here you go. I got it's got them side by side.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I'll note that bitch at Cracker Barrel is the one who was there when Taco Bell was doing their super successful going to we're going to be a cantina, a modern square cantina. People love it. People love it. No, it's
and
cheap.
like McDonald's getting rid of the play place,
what these are they are cheap modular buildings that because of their new square designs with new shapes are easy to every few years move automated kiosks into or move automated cooking equipment into. I think it's funny that people aren't seeing the real grand design is they are built to be able to replace human workers. So that you can, because they're modular and
well, it's that,
off,
and it's if they decide not to renew the lease, it can become anything else. Pizza Huts, if you drive by an old Pizza Hut and it's been converted to a Chinese restaurant or a Mexican restaurant, sure as hell that was a Pizza Hut at one point.
Yeah. There's actually a Mexican restaurant on my way to where my place of employment is that is a converted Pizza Hut.
Yeah. We've got a donut place here that was a Whataburger. It is an A-frame. You know exactly what that building was at one point in its history, way back when. Same with Taco Bueno. Remember the old Taco Buenos?
Yes.
With the rounded buildings and stuff? They've gone to squares. I mean, every bit of our architecture looks like this. All the rebrands just go to this soulless crap. I don't really care about the Cracker Barrel situation except for that part of it. just another thing that's going to soulless crap in the United States. Because Cracker Barrel, yeah, they probably did need to do something, because they're probably, it's not a place where a whole bunch of young people are going. Their clientele is going to die off. I mean, that's the reality of that kind of, Southern comfort food store. But I think they went way too far trying to modernize and bring in a new group.
I don't know, man. I mean, just because it's old timey kind of looking, I don't think that doesn't mean that younger generations can't at some point in time appreciate it, though.
Maybe, but they haven't, is the point. I mean, their sales have not been good over the past few years. That's why they were making changes. But
well, I mean,
this
but
rebrand does not.
The question is, what's causing those issues, though? I mean, it is just the fact that just nobody gives a shit about Cracker Barrel anymore, and that's just the reality. I mean, because this is the problem.
Just that it's not cool at this point.
Yeah.
So, when I was growing up in Virginia, near the mall that I worked at, we actually got one of the retro 50s looking McDonald's built. Where for a moment they were, when they were trying to be a little different, they would kind of make like, look, we're going to do and it was for small, basically it was the smaller footprint McDonald's, because in the 50s they were smaller. So they made this one to look like a 1950s one, and they built it in the 90s, and it was awesome. And they also had an animatronic of the moon guy that was there, in the advertising campaigns for a while. And it was a really cool place, and that's how it was different than the other McDonald's, but it was retro different. It had the big arches, like 50 style going into the building, and it was awesome. People loved it, and it had 50 style booths. It had the little, what do they used to call them? The jukebox, the mini jukeboxes at the tables.
Almost like a diner.
Yeah, it was such a cool vibe. Like, if you wanted to make a different, they had options where they were doing it, and it was always very successful. So I just don't understand why did they abandon something like that, where like you can still make it different if you don't want to do the like 70s and 80s style McDonald's, but then, call back to your aesthetic. Now on the inside, it was still a modern kitchen and had all that kind of stuff. But on the outside, it looked very cool, because you didn't see McDonald's that looked like that.
Yeah, you can modernize the kitchen and the seating area without, losing the aesthetic.
So Bell says that they were packed 6 years ago, and that
they started offering alcohol and Cracker Barrels.
Oh, is that? Oh, alcohol started it. Okay, I see. COVID didn't help. Okay,
yep. Before that, they did not even have a liquor license, if I remember correctly. It was literally a general store and a restaurant. That's what Cracker Barrel was built on. Because they've got a store at the entryway where you can buy all kinds of little knickknacks and stuff. They had antiques all over the walls. I mean, that's what the aesthetic was. So, I don't know. Like I said, Cracker Barrel is Cracker Barrel. I'm looking at just, in general, everything seems to be just losing any semblance of what it used to be, going to this modern crap. That's what I'm more upset about than Cracker Barrel specifically.
Well, no, yeah. I mean, it's so much of these companies have kind of lost their personalities as a result, but yeah.
So here's some Deeple shared memes, Brahma, that you, I'm sure, see on X. So we've got the "You'll never end the Fed with memes," and the response being, well, first of all, through God, all things are possible, so just jot that down. Damn, bought this shitcoin back in 2013, and I'm down on 50%.
I'm only down about 10% on Doge. Now on the Trump coin.
Now, by the way, if I could build a DeLorean and go back in time, as much as I'd like to solve a lot of problems, my first trip might be to around the late 2000s and
buy
say
Bitcoin.
And be like, hey, asshole, for $200 you can be a billionaire.
Yeah.
So just buy $200 worth of Bitcoin right now and just hold it till about 2025, and you'll be worth like $3 billion.
Instant retirement.
Yeah.
And you don't even have to worry about it going up more. You're already worth billions at that point.
Here you go.
the two-party
Two-party system for dummies.
dummies.
Yes, the Uniparty. It goes to the same place.
Yep.
All right, so that one I think is good. Let's see, we got Ancient Shaman says, give us tribute / tax. The gods will provide better weather. Modern Shaman says the same thing. All right, so that was batch number 1.
Their rain dance just isn't as good now.
Yeah.
All right, see, here's your mistake. You added a fuck that I didn't give. People who annoy me, people I annoy, people I can be friends with, right there. All right. Oh, original Cracker Barrel, new Cracker Barrel.
What the fuck is up with her lip? I mean, I see that picture get used a lot, but
Well, when you're gonna be a dad, you start, having to go through some,
Some changes.
some changes.
It's kind of
Especially-
like the Zegler one from Snow White, where her
Yeah.
jaw is all disconnected from her face.
I just love the way when they use the AI to put the what was it, Sling Blade voice into it. I reckon I got some dwarves I gotta go live with now. That one over there's gay. He likes the fellers.
They call him happy.
Oh, do a barrel roll. What was that from
Star
Star
Fox.
Fox? Yep.
Do a barrel roll. Do a barrel roll.
All right, so there's this one. All right, last of the memes. When your joke ruins a conversation, but you know it was amazing. Meet the dumbest photographer ever.
You're aiming a little high.
Remember the creepy banjo kid from Deliverance? This is him now. Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
Pretty
Holy
much.
shit.
Well, this is back right before he met Corn Pop. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was when the black kids were playing with his leg hairs.
That's fucking hilarious.
when you hear a bump in the night, but you're a Democrat. It's funny. He was like, "Man, I missed my window at the WNBA game. I'm glad I still have this available."
It would need to be neon green.
That's
You saw we got the first one on a
with the
football game.
PGA. Oh no, PGA got one today too.
Did they?
Yep.
It's gonna be the new Baba Booey.
I don't know if that's an allowed club on the official list, but someone could putt with it. I'm sure.
Well, yeah, if it's got a base. You can't putt with a straight stick, but if it has a base, you could. Is that the last one?
Yeah, that's the last one.
We've got some membership chats to go through that I've got to dig up real quick.
So if you just flip the screen off, I'll close it.
Yeah. So from Boosh, celebrating 4 months of membership, OG member, and Brahma Bowl gives shit because I asked about Gifted. That was from on Zax's channel. Where'd the other stars go? I hate that it doesn't give you a starred category even if you star them. Because it doesn't highlight them.
Thought there was a starred category.
I don't have one back here. Or maybe I don't have the thing expanded enough.
Maybe.
No, I don't see anything that says starred. Jeremiah Hembry, celebrating 2 months of membership. I used to listen to Dr. Dobson when I was a kid at 7 o'clock at night. He'll be missed, and he's with Jesus now. Yep. I grew up listening to The Adventures in Odyssey, which was a focus on the family production. And it was like a radio drama type thing. And actually, the guy who wrote all of them is one of our good family friends now. We hang out with him all the time. Well, did. He moved to Missouri a couple months ago. Deeple, celebrating 2 months, posted some memes. I think these no words are better than what I posted. I feel like I have failed chat with what I have provided. Got to step up. You're good, Deeple. I think that was all of them. let me know in chat if I missed any of them. I don't see any others that say celebrating. So, and of course, we appreciate all the members and the super chats. And I'm fine with a little bit of discourse between chat and the panel and chat and the chat. So, no, I'm not taking away anybody's wrench. Yep, I think that's all of them. So, oh, now I scrolled all the way down and I've got to find out where Deeples was so that I can remove it from the screen. Stupid platform. So, I think that does it for us this week. Comix, what do you got coming up?
Got the usual. We got the Monday night meltdown, Thursday night throwdown, and get some other stuff out of the way. Getting pretty close to finishing off my site builder thing. Did some testing with it tonight. So hopefully I'll actually have a product I can release and start selling. So that's what I've been working on.
Nobody's done anything that needs any blocking.
Yeah. Nobody needs to block nobody. This is, typical internet discourse.
Yep. And me and Tox will be on a show tomorrow. So
we love you, Tox. We really do.
And Chad, what do you got coming up this week?
I think Matt is doing his MadEPAP on Tuesday.
Should be.
It seems like he's back to having a supply. And for how long? So I have no idea what the topic will be. He likes to pretend that he tells me early, but he doesn't. I usually get it, but the show's up 10 o'clock Eastern time.
Yep.
And I'll get it usually maybe 4 or 5 p.m. after I remind him I don't have a story. Yeah. So it'll be fun. We have a good time there. We get it really, I don't know if you've watched any comics. They're hilarious. Like just random historical people and events that are just batshit crazy. It'll give you hope for times now when you're like, oh, things were really weird back even then. So we were covered. We did fine. So we got that Tuesday. And then Friday, like always, is the Ascendant Art podcast, 9 p.m. Eastern. You're right here on YouTube, Rumble, whichever is your flavor that you prefer. And if you aren't already, I would, appreciate if you guys look over there and drop a sub. It doesn't cost you anything to do that. You don't even have to click the bell. Just the sub would be nice. So if you can do that, I'd appreciate it.
Yep. Let's get Ascendant Art up to at least at 500. I think most of the people here are probably over there, but there's a few that might not be. So that is the Ascendant Art podcast. And the details for Comix channel and Chad's channel are in the description. And it looks like Darren just popped them in there as well. So go give them a sub. As for me, I will be on Comix tomorrow night, Tuesday night with Mad, Wednesday night, nothing this week. Thursday back with Comix, Friday Ascendant Art, and then Sunday we're back here. So that is the week. We will see you next Sunday, if not before then. And here's some end credits. Have a good night, everybody. Everybody's favorite song.
Is this the part where we talk over the end credits?
I don't think anybody's even heard the lyrics because we always talk over them.
Yeah. Well, I typically have the live preview muted, so we can actually hear you guys talking.
It's chaos, it's magic, it's everything between. Thanks for the memberships. Yeah, you keep it
Well, yeah. I mean, we can keep talking. I mean, I think that way it'll be a surprise when people listen to the lyrics and they hear them.
When they've actually put them all together.
They've heard them for the first time.
I didn't time this one, so I don't know if it's gonna run. The song's gonna run out, or the names are first. But they are updated from last week.
That's right, because we did get a lot of gifted memberships last week, I think.
10 of them.
I mean, people, it's still going. People can gift if they want to on their way out. Because this channel is soft monetized for memberships and super chats.
You know what I need is just all the 1,300 or so people that have followed me on Twitter just to come on and click sub, and then we're at 1,000 easy.
Yeah, X is not an easy thing. I mean, obviously, I think I have a pretty decent follower count there, and it's just, you can't get them. X is the hardest to like get action from, at least in my experience.
Well, yeah, on X right now, probably 200 of our 283 views are coming from my X and your X.
Boy, you guys have a lot of X's.
Yeah. Well, Chad, you've got what, 15,000 followers or something like that?
Like
Never
14
mind. My
yeah.
joke. Never mind. It died.
Oh, X's.
Yeah.
Oh,
Gotcha.
Gotcha.
It's not funny if I have to explain it.
That is the truth of humor. As soon as you have to explain any part of a joke, it's not funny.
Pretty
Just
much.
wasn't thinking of it, went over the head.
No, I get it.
How close was the timing? Song's done. Name's still
Songs.
going.
Yeah.
We're almost a copy of Kitty. And Eric Meyer. There's Jaffo.
So these are the ones you add, are the... Well, yeah, there's...
I've just got them in order, I think, from whoever's registering as the longest, I think. I don't remember how I sorted them.
I mean,
But it ends up being Copy Kitty and Eric Meyer come last.
Yeah, because I think they got gifted last week, right?
No, because they've been since the very first show that we were monetized.
Okay. Oh, it goes... Oh, we're talking about the... Oh, we're going the other direction.
And of course I got booted. All right.